Welcome to the 2019 Osaka Sub Open. We're at the Nakanoshima Park on the Danjumi River in beautiful Osaka, Japan. I'm Bo Hodge along with Dave Bainey. We've got Matu Astir from Total Sup bringing you all the play-by-play action of event number 3 for the APP World Tour. And Dave, we were just in New York not too long ago, and now we're back here racing on the rivers of Osaka.
Yeah, Bo, I'm glad to be here. We got some good racers in town. Danny Ching's here, a couple new faces that we didn't see in New York. So I'm actually really excited to start watching some sprints. And what a great venue.
Yeah, we've got 21 men competing in the racing division. We have 8 newcomers for the men who haven't been at New York or in London, so they'll be their first adventure, and we'll introduce them as they come along. And I believe 5 new women coming around. So there's a shot of our sprint course here on the Dojima River. And we had to reset the buoys. You see those 2 red APP small buoys. We actually had a green one off to the left was the turn buoy on the left side, and a big red one off to the right. But as the high tide was coming in, they were breaking anchor and drifting down the river, so they had to reset those buoys with some smaller buoys, and we're going to be starting. We can see our first 2 competitors coming up. We have a 4-man heat format coming up here in the round 1 of the men, and we're not going to see any 4-man heat format in this round. We're going to see either 2 or 3-man heat format coming up. And our first one, world number 1 against Ty Judson from Australia, will be in that first heat. Now, winners in round 1 will bypass round 2, the repechage heat, and automatically advance into the quarterfinals. So an advantage for the paddlers and the competitors to win their round 1 heats. Second and third will be advancing into the repechage heats.
Yeah, Bo, it's going to be interesting for sure. You definitely want to skip around when you can. This first heat, Ty Judson and Arthur Rukin, is going to be a fun one to watch right out of the gates. Ty, these guys are really narrow boards. Ty, I was checking his board out. It's 21 inches wide, believe it or not, Bo. And I believe Arthur's is 21 and a half. Both flat water style boards. It's going to be fun to see them go around the buoys and see how they can handle this quick, technical little course.
We got our water cam right there. Pat Myers sitting on a flotation out in the river here. You see some of the water patrol going by. So they'll be going underneath this bridge, making a turn on the arc on the outside. You see 2 arcs underneath the bridge on the opposite side. So there'll be a left lane, a right lane. And so the paddlers on the left-hand side, and there we have a horn. And as you can see, Ty Judson on the left. There's Arthur Rukin on the right. Arthur went from 7th overall after London all the way to first place with a big distance win over in New York City. And we've got a dead heat right now, maybe a half-board lead by Arthur Rukin.
Yeah, check it out. Here goes Ty Judson. Let's see how he handles his first buoy on that narrow board. He's looking pretty good. Looks like Arthur's going to edge him just a little bit. And it's interesting. You got to go pretty much down the middle of these arches. You go to the side, there's potential to hit your hand on the roof. So a lot of technical maneuvering in this course.
You see Ty more of a faster pace rhythm. You see the longer strokes by Arthur as they come around. Dead heat Ty. Now they'll be going back underneath the bridge for their last run.
Yep, and as expected, this is basically a dead heat. You can see Arthur maybe a half board length ahead. It's going to come down to these buoy turns. Who can nail the buoy turn faster?
All right, Ty Judson on the right in the white. Arthur Rukin, world number 1, APP World Champion 2018. And here we go on the turn. You see Arthur now with the clean turn. Can he hold this lead? Remember, winner goes straight to the men's quarterfinals. And Arthur's got about a board, maybe a board and a half length. But Ty, he's quick on the paddle. Let's see if he can catch up. He's got the choke down stroke. He's really leaning into it. We're 1 minute, 25 seconds into this race. And Arthur's kind of pulling up, cruising in for the win. And there you go, 132 unofficially for Arthur Rukin. He'll go to quarterfinals. Ty will go into round number 2.
Yep, well, we're already off to a banger. That was a fun sprint to watch. And it's going to be interesting what equipment riders are going to choose. I know there's a couple guys that were warming up on 12.6s. Both those guys chose to ride 14-foot boards. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it starts to play an advantage for, board choice.
All right, there's your official results. 133.66 for Artur. our world champion, world number one, entering the Osaka Open for 2019, and he'll advance on into the quarterfinals. As we see our competitors setting up for heat number 2, round number 1. On the right in red, Tuan from New Caledonia representing Tahiti. He'll be in the red jersey, and Kenny Kaneko, local Japanese paddler. Good to see Kenny back on the APP World Tour. He'll be on the right. Another two-man heat. We'll see our first three-man heat coming up in heats 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and back to a two-man heat in heat number 8. So total of 8 heats in this first round. All right, let's take a heat recap here. Heat 1, round 1. As you see, the start was a sit-down position to make it fair and equal as they don't cross the line before the start.
Yep, this will be a sit-down start. It's just simply the fairest start to keep people in position. We see Tuan on the same board that Ty Judson was riding.
Ninja, the NSP Ninja.
Yeah, that's their flat water design with the big old dugout, and Tuan edges Kenny out around that buoy. So let's see if Kenny can catch up. And Tuan he's a little bit of a sneaky-looking sprinter. He's got that buttery, smooth kind of stroke where you can see Kenny probably takes 2 strokes to his 1, where it might look faster. And right there you can see there, like Tuan's just barely ahead of Kenny right now.
Yeah, Tuan competed in London, did not compete in New York. He moved from number 3 to number 7 on the world rankings. It's good to see him back. Here we go, T2. 4th place in the London Sprints in a very similar area, the Hackney Marshes. Still about a half-board lead. A little off balance for Kenny Kaneko, so this will be Kenny's last chance to pour it on to see if he can take the win here in heat number 2, round number 1.
Yep, he's really got to pick it up. Here it comes. Tuan, I just love that stroke of Tuan. And he's just gliding right ahead of Kenny. So you're going to see both. These ones are going to be really tight and really close all the way straight through to the final. We're going to see some photo finishes for sure and probably have to check back to film.
Tuan Puyo will advance on into quarterfinal heat number 2. And we'll see Kenny Kaneko. He was 2nd place in heat 2, round number 2. So he'll go into the 2nd round, heat number 2. And our first 3-man heat coming up here, heat number 3.
Yep, it looks like we're going to have a 3-man heat. This one we got Martin Vitry from France in red, Enzo Bennett from Tahiti, he's going to be in white, and Rai Taguchi from Japan, so the local paddler in yellow.
So we see white and yellow on the inside lane. We'll see red on the outside lane. When we have a 4-man format, you're going to see our competitors 2 on each side. So this is the first time of our 3-man. So we'll have 3 competitors touring on the same buoy on the left-hand side. And there's the horn. We can see Enzo and Rai getting up, and Rai with just about a nose distance. And this is going to be our first opportunity to see these guys. We're watching the amateur sprints earlier today, and there was a lot of bumping of the rails and guys going down from the backwash from the other competitors making these turns. Here we go. This is going to be Rai Taguchi with a good clean turn out in the lead, and he's got the lead overall over Martin Vitry.
Yep, check that out, Bo. This is actually this is pretty insane to watch the youngster kind of go toe-to-toe with the older guys and kind of come out on top, at least for the moment. And I want to say, too, probably Martin racing alone, is probably a little disadvantage where, he might have cleaner water, but you get pushed a little faster with a competitor next to you. So right now, Martin is 2nd and Enzo in 3rd.
Well, again, no one loses out in this round 1. Round 1 winners go to the quarterfinals. 2nd and 3rd will go. Maybe Martin's just cruising here, realizing maybe he's got 1 shot left here as Rai makes the clean turn. No one is falling in this heat number 3. Here comes Ryan Taguchi, and look at the power stroke he's pouring on now. He doesn't want to take any chance of Martin Vitry from France pulling off an upset.
The crowd's going nuts out there. I can hear
they
them.
love it. They love it. They know he's a
local boy.
128 unofficially, so that's the fastest time we've seen so far today. And Ryan Taguchi in first, Martin Vitry second, and Enzo Bennett in third place.
Yeah, and Ryan Taguchi making his presence felt. The youngster, watch this jump, so they get up pretty similar. But just kind of put a little bit more effort, beats Enzo to that buoy, and then just lets it go on the way back. Takes a nice line under the bridge. And look at that. Well ahead of those guys. That was a great first round for the local youngster. So here we go. We got Casper. Yeah, so we got a bit of a banger for this one. We got Casper Stein Fath in red, Lincoln Dews in white, and Jackson Maynard from New Zealand in yellow.
As the competitors are lining up, getting ready for a start here, we are in heat number 4, round number 1 of the men's. The women's will have their heat 1 right after the women. This is one of the most stacked heats. Casper Stein Fath, a sprint expert, winning the sprints in New York. Lincoln Dews, a great competitor in London, did not show up in New York and now back here in Japan. And Jackson Maynard, one of the Nutri-Grain Ironman Series competitors, as their season getting ready to start next month at the Coolangatta Gold over on the Gold Coast. They'll be racing from October into January, February of their race season. So Maynard will be in yellow. The two Aussies are on the left-hand side, on the green buoy side. And they're introducing into the final event, a standalone event in the Nutri-Grain Series as part of one of their disciplines. And the quick twitch paddle performance. Look at the goofy foot style there from Casper Stein Fath.
Yep, and this is one to watch. Casper, as far as I can tell, did choose to ride his 12.6. I'll check it out. He's going to get to the buoy first. And the 12.6 has a little bobble right there, but the 12.6 much easier to turn than a 14-footer. But look at Lincoln.
He goes down. Lincoln loses momentum there. A chance for Jackson Maynard to get into second place. And here goes Casper with a huge lead here in heat number 4.
Yep, so Casper choosing the 12.6. He's been known to do this. Jumps out of the water quicker than a 14 for a quicker start. Much faster to go around a buoy turn, but, a slower top speed. So a little bit of strategy going in there for Casper. Fortunately for him, there was a tussle at the buoy.
So Lincoln didn't lose any momentum over Jackson Maynard. Maynard, both of them riding those deep boards from Australia.
Yeah, you can tell Casper's winding it down. He knows that he's well in front. And luckily for Lincoln, he fell going around the buoy, so it left no open space for Jackson to get around from him. If he fell on the straightaway, it might have been a different story.
Here we go, just coasting in here. No reason to give all out. I was just all right to Taguchi on the last heat. There was incentive for him to really power it through, the local boy. Winning heat 3, and here goes Casper coming across. Unofficial time 1:29, so even though Casper was kind of coasting there at the end, he could have had the fastest time. He's 1 second behind Ryan Taguchi. But good win there for Casper Stein Fath. Lincoln Dews, good to see him back in action, and welcome to Jackson Maynard. Jackson actually competed at the APP event in Enoshima in 2017. And I talked to him after that race, and he's, an Ironman veteran down in Australia. He said that was one of the toughest things he's ever done, was a windy APP event. Here's the heat cap, heat number 4. As we're seeing now, shot of Connor Baxter for heat number 5. Casper and Danny Ching were warming up together. Buoy turns. It's Delgado from Peru, Infinity Team rider, and from New Zealand, from Gisborne, New Zealand, on the eastern coast of the North Island, Ollie Puddick. So good to see Ali making his trek up here to Osaka. And how focused is Connor at a race, any race around the world?
Yeah, well, it's just another walk in the park, so to speak, for Connor Baxter. Would be interesting to see if he gets nervous in these kind of non-elimination rounds at this point. You see it's Delgado in white, and we got Ollie from New Zealand on that far side. Connor with the high seed, he get to choose his lane, so he chose to go by himself on the left side. And looking at how fast he gets up.
So again, another goofy footer on the left-hand side, paddling on the left-hand side, getting that strong stroke down through. You can see over on the opposite side, SL Delgado in second place. We'll see on the turns. Nice clean turn. Itzel right there with Connor. Good turn on the outside buoy. Ollie in third. Baxter in first. Delgado in second. And let's see how they come halfway through. And Itzel really pouring it on.
Yeah, Itzel's actually a pretty fast sprinter. He's won a couple sprint races, 200-meter format through Europe. We saw him do pretty good at the last event, but ended up falling at the buoy, which cost him. And right now he's holding down second place. Connor, being solo in his lane with the high seed, is having much more of an open lane to kind of go where he wants, and he's looking pretty comfortable.
Yeah, Connor Baxter had a 7th place showing at the London Sprints, did much better making the final in the New York Sprints, placing 4th. He was actually in the lead coming in for a win with Stein Fath, and he fell off right in the short break area, or right prior to the short break area.
Yeah, he fell a few times. He was pretty disappointed. I saw him after the race, and he was like, "Call me Kuka the day."
So there's the horn, unofficially 128. So nice clean paddle there for Connor Baxter. Itzel will take second. Ali Puttick from New Zealand third. Itzel and Ali will be in round 2. Connor advancing on into the quarterfinals by winning heat number 5. Here's a heat recap of heat number 5, round number 1. See, looking across there, Ali and Itzel. And Ali had a first good round. Look at the turns here. Good, clean, 2-3 strokes there for Itzel on the turn.
Yep, and that's a good close-up of the start. You could see basically who could, everyone's jumping to their feet pretty much at the same time. So whoever could get that first stroke in the water and make it meaningful is going to jump out in the head. And how tight this course is, if you could be clean out of the gates, it's going to be hard to pass you. And we're just firing through these, Bo. About a minute and a half for Connor Baxter to finish that round.
Okay, here we go. Checking out heat number 6. London overall winner, Noik Gerrard from New Caledonia will be in red. He'll be on the right-hand side, We'll see from Tahiti, George Cristance in white, and yellow fellow Tahitian Henry Harries. Well, these guys were hanging out prior to the race, all the French-speaking athletes. Noik went from first to third overall, losing his over the London APP event. And Noik won the London Sprints, had a shocker in New York, had a 9th place at the London Sprints and an 8th place in the distance. And he's got a good clean start. Here he goes.
Yep, so Noik choosing the left side. He obviously started on his left side. He's probably predominantly, it looks like he's goofy foot, so that's why he probably chose this side. Turn is much easier to do, or quicker to do, should I say, than a toe side turn, but Noik looking really smooth. Good line through the bridge.
There's George Cristance, maybe a board back. Here we go on the turn at 39 seconds. Good water angle here on the buoy turns. George losing his balance there, but does not fall in, but loses momentum. And Noik is cruising. He has to make sure he doesn't fall because George will take advantage of that.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. Noik, if you notice, he's switched stance on the buoy turns. He's going heel side on either way. So very talented paddler Noik is.
Here comes George. George's turn right now, but a big lead for Noik.
Yeah, Noik's definitely winding it back, knowing he's in the lead. George right behind him as well seems to be turning it down, conserving some energy. So it's going to be a pretty cruisy one for Noik and George Kronstad.
Yeah, unofficial 1 minute 30 seconds. So Noik winning heat number 6. Moving on into quarterfinal number 4. And for George Cristance, second place in heat number 6. He'll move into the 4th heat. So here's the heat recap of heat number 6. As Noik went out with a good commanding, good buoy turns. There's George, so the hiccup there after lap 1 and cruising on in, unofficially at 1:30. So just about 90 seconds it takes for these men athletes, and we're going to see the women coming up right after 2 more heats from right now.
Yep, and we got Daniel Husulio, Danny Ching, and Seo Kikakoa in this next round. I was talking to Daniel. I was like, hey, where's Bruno? And he's like, Bruno's body is very, he said hurt, but he didn't mean hurt because he just won the 11 Cities distance race. So
3rd, 4th year in a row for Bruno.
Yeah, so he's in recovery mode. But it's rad to see Danny Ching here. Let's see how he could do against the Young Bucks. See Danny out pretty quick. Hard to tell in this angle, but it looks like he might have a little bit of a jump on Daniel Husulio.
Yeah, Daniel was saying that Bruno's on a little bit of an 11 City hangover there, but imagine paddling 4 or 5 Molokai channels back-to-back every day.
Yeah, this is probably the closest buoy turn we've seen. Those guys are basically in sync with one another.
Danny with just about a nose lead. Let's see how they end up for the first lap. Danny's really lengthening it right now. The former ISA World Champion, former Battle of the Paddle PPG World Champion. There he goes on the turn. Good clean turn, forward turn. And can Daniel hop into this second lap? Now he's a good half board back. Ching on the right, Fouslo on the left. Danny's in the white jersey on the 404 green purple board. And Daniel's made up some ground here on this last lap. Here we go. It's an all-out sprint for the finish.
Yep. Let's see how hard they go. They definitely want to win this one and bypass the next round. So
they'll be coming into the arc together. You'll hear the horn. They'll blow the horn for the start and the finish. And there you go, the fastest time. And these guys were pushed. 1:23 unofficially for Danny Ching, taking first. Daniel Husulio second. And our Japanese competitor, Kikugawa, in third.
Nice one. So Danny Ching looking strong. I love it. Danny's been actually paddling quite a bit. He just hasn't been sup racing all that much this year. But definitely keeping his time on the water. You see the heat recap. After that first buoy turn is basically a tie race the whole time. Danny able to edge him out kind of the last portion of this straightaway.
So unofficially 1:23, 1 minute 23 seconds there for Danny Ching. And we're in our final heat. It'll be a 2-man heat. Michael Booth, world number 2, up against Ricky Aitami from Tahiti. So we'll see Michael Booth, he'll be on the left side. Ricky will be on the right side. Michael will be in the red jersey on the far left. Ricky will be in the white jersey. And coming up in our next heat, women's round 1. We'll have a total of 4 heats in the women's round. 8 heats here in the men's round, round number 1. And there we go. There's the start. A little bit slow there for Ricky, but he got up. You see all the Tahitians on that red and white board as they brought to Osaka. Michael Booth, the power, known for his distance, had a 9th place showing in the sprints in London, a 6th place showing in the sprints in New York, but really relying on his distance paddling, winning the London sprints, coming second to Arthur Arukin. A little bit of a hiccup. Balance bobble there for Ricky. And Ricky's giving Boothie a good challenge here.
Yeah, for sure. If he didn't have that little bobble, he might even be a stroke or two ahead of Boothie. But Boothie taking advantage of that bobble. He's been pretty much mistake-free so far. And you can see how narrow the course actually is. So there definitely is, there really isn't clean water at all. A lot of side chop and reverb off the walls coming into play.
Well, Michael Booth, the day after the New York distance race, him and Fiona Wilde, 2 Starboard team riders, flew to Shorebirds, Germany for the European grand finale of the Sub Tour, and both of them winning the event in Germany a day after competing in New York City.
That's pretty impressive. I commented on Michael's post because I literally saw him the day before. I was like, man, you're such an animal. And all he wrote back was, I agree.
I commented on Fiona. I said, you're a legend. 133 unofficially there for Michael Booth as he'll advance on in. Ricky will go into round number 2. And Michael Booth will be up against Noik in that quarterfinals. And here we go. Heat recap. Heat number 8. Round number 1. Ricky keeping toe-to-toe on this first lap. You see right there, a little bit slow, a little bit off balance, losing momentum there. And coming in for the win, Michael Booth advancing into the quarterfinals. So Arthur Arukin, Taguchi, Tuan Puyo, Casper Stein Fath, Connor Baxter, Danny Ching, Gerrard, and Michael Booth, all heat winners advancing on into quarterfinals. Let's move into the women's action here at the Osaka Sub Open. And we see world number 1 in red, Seychelle Webster. Seychelle, it will be in red. Jade Heusen making her 2019 debut of the APP here in Osaka. She'll be in white. Got a total of 11 women in the pro sprints. Let's go down to Matu for an interview.
Thank you, boys. Boothie, well done. You won your first heat. You took on an unknown paddler, Ricky Aitamai. How did it go for you?
It was mixed. I had a good start, and then I had a bit of a bubble in that first turn, and it's quite bumpy out there with like the Bosch off the walls, and I know when that happens, your legs sort of lighten up because you're sort of feeling the pressure, but got the job done in the end, and happy to get through.
All right, congratulations. See you in the next round. Back to you, boys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Matu, and congratulations to Michael. There's a shot at Jade Heusen.
Yep, it's good to see Jade Heusen out here in Japan. Had breakfast with her and her mom, and yeah, she was stoked to come out here and join us on the APP World Tour. This is her I think it's going to be her one and only event because of school. So it's great to have those opportunities and have a little strike mission and make it happen.
Of course, Seychelle, she's been dominating in 2019, winning 3 of the 4 events at the first 2 stops, winning the London sprints, the London distance, the New York sprints, and coming in 4th in the New York distance, and a commanding lead of 35,750 points over April Zilg, who has 29,500 points in 2nd place. So if April's going to make a move on Seychelle, April's going to need Seychelle to really have her worst event of the year right now, but she's just been in top form, looking for a world title here in 2019. So the women getting underway will have a total of 1 two-lady format in this round. We'll have 3 ladies in heats 2, 3, and 4 coming up, following up. So 11 women. Winners of these round ones will go into the women's semifinals. Second and third place delegated into round number 2. And we have 5 new competitors here in Osaka for the APP World Tour. See Jordan Mercer, she'll be coming up in heat number 3. There's Yuka Sato. Yuka also in that third heat. You see some of the ladies on the backside there in the river. We're on the Dojomi River here at Nakanoshima Park in beautiful Osaka, Japan. And we've got to start. And Jade looked like she was kind of pausing there. Was that really the start? Or
that's interesting because it kind of looked like she thought there might be a restart or something, but quickly back up there. Fortunately for her, you always, if she didn't do that, she'd probably be coming around the buoy right now. So basically have a tie right now. It's a good test for her. Seychelle's been looking really good all year long. Obviously the current leader in the rankings. Teammates side by side.
All right, we'll see after this first lap who will be in the lead. There goes Seychelle. Here comes Jade. They'll be turning on the orange buoy. And they're still tied.
Yep,
52 seconds on that first lap.
Yep, so it looks like Jade just got a little bit quicker buoy turn, so she might be maybe half a board length ahead at the moment. But Seychelle, look at her. She's just putting the hammer down.
I think you're right there. Half, maybe full board length. We see Danny Ching going by, riding a ripple from some of the boats that are crossing the river over here, Dojima River. And let's see if Jade Heusen can make the upset here in Heat 1, Round 1 in Osaka.
Yeah, Jade's looking really crisp on her buoy turns. Just ever so slightly quicker than Seychelle. And you saw Seychelle kind of messed up her. She had a duck and couldn't full stroke, so that opened the door for Jade to slide right in.
Well, Jade Heusen wins Heat 1, Round 1, unofficial time 1 minute 38 seconds. And that is that's going to put Seychelle into round number 2 in the repechage, and that'll put Jade into the first semifinals.
Yeah, Jade looking really impressive. Managed to pull that heat off after the start. If you watch, there's a replay. So look, she takes a couple strokes, but kind of looks over like, what? And then sees Seychelle still going, so she keeps going. The times on the buoy turns here and was able to beat Seychelle simply just from a quicker buoy turns.
And good first heat for Jade Heusen, moving into the semifinals. Winners of these round 1 heats go into the semifinals. And there's your results. 143 officially for Jade Heusen. And here we go. Heat 2, round number 1, April Zilg. World number 2, Lina Agaitis, who competed in London. No show from her in New York, is back here representing Canada. She'll be in the white jersey. And Rika Oku Akai will be in the yellow jersey representing Japan. Let's go down to Matu for an interview with our heat winner. I don't know. Okay, we're getting ready here for heat number 2, round number 1. Lina Agaitis will be in the white. Rika from Japan will be in yellow. And then across the way, April, the top seed, in red.
Yep, so April being the top seed, she gets to choose what lane she wants to be. She chose the far end.
April, a second place in London in the sprints, a third place in New York in the sprints, second overall. Her big win was the New York distance race around the Statue of Liberty. And there we go, getting up quicker than Lena Agaitis. That's Rika from Japan. And there comes Lena. Powering through here. They'll both make this first buoy turn together. April be on the opposite side in red. April with just about a half-second lead right now. April from North Carolina winning the distance race on her birthday just a couple of weeks ago in New York City. 40 seconds into this sprint race. They'll be making buoy turn here, forehand turn. 1 paddle, 2 paddle, 3 paddle, and 4. She's made it clean. Lena not too far behind. She needs to make a movement here on this lap.
Yep, so both April and Lena looking really strong. Lena with that mom power. She's got her whole family out here from Canada. And April, kind of the girl of the moment, having a great run as of late. Feeling really comfortable and feeling good. I've been talking to her before the race, and she's in good spirits and just stoked to get this weekend going.
I think Lena's gained some ground on this last lap. Here we go, about a half board, 3/4 board lead for April. Can Lena power through this underneath the bridge to the finish?
Yep, there's another contrast of styles. You can see April takes pretty much 2 strokes to Lena's 1. So Lena kind of more having that slower, powerful stroke like a Tuan. And April with a quicker cadence. So that was a fun heat to watch.
139 unofficially for April. Lena in second, Rika in third. So we forgot to ask April when we were talking to her right before the event what she's listening to in her headset.
We do got to get that answer.
Yeah. But here's a heat recap. Heat 2, round 1. Very close heat, competitive, between our paddler from North Carolina in red and Canada in white. April and Lena were neck and neck. And then here at the end, just about a half board length, April going to a win, advancing into the semifinals. I'll put Lena Agaitis, Heat 2, in second place in the repechage round. As we are getting ready for heat number 3, Yuka Sato will be in red, Fiona Wilde from Oregon, Hood River in white, and Jordan Mercer from Australia, the 8-time Molokai to Oahu paddleboard world champion and the current surf ski paddleboard Molokai to Oahu world champion this year. So branching out. Of course, Jordan competing in the women's Nutri-Grain Iron Women's Series down in Australia. They're getting ready for a start in the Coolangatta Gold coming up next month. Multi-talented athlete. And we've seen Jordan compete at APP events, introducing SUP into her repertoire, and there's the local favorite, Yuka Sato.
Yeah, Yuka's been around helping with all the festivities, kind of being an ambassador, so to speak, of this event. And she's stoked to be racing at home, that's for sure. Fiona Wilde, she's been a little low-key. I've seen her kind of around, but for the most part, looking pretty focused.
Let's go down beachside, riverside, and check in with Matu.
4, 3, 2, 1. Yep.
Thank you, guys. April, congratulations. Tell us about the water conditions at the start of this racing day.
Oh man, it's really flat here in the channel. We're actually in a very, very protected area, concrete walls on both sides. But once you get moving, you put off that wake when you're putting the hammer down, and it bounces off. That reverb will get you. Makes the turns a little bit tricky.
Well, you're off to the next round. Congratulations. And back to you, boys.
All right, thanks, Matu. Congratulations, April. As we'll see, white and yellow. That's Fiona on the left, Jordan on the right. 2 world champions in different disciplines here, but this is Fiona's expertise. She was leading the APP World Tour after Sunset Beach, winning in good 6 to 10 foot day out at Sunset. She's coming in here, moving up to third place from fifth place from London to third place after New York. She's a former APP Racing World Champion.
Yep, and she just came off. She's a Euro Tour champion.
Yeah.
So she's had an excellent year racing as well.
In fact, her and her father competed earlier this year somewhere in Barbados or the Bahamas, Masters, where they compete in surfing, windsurfing, kite surfing, stand-up, an all-around discipline, and she winning that event this past year. Multi-talented athlete. So interesting here, Yuka's got the higher seed. She's in red, but Fiona's leading on the rankings because they're counting the last three events, including Paris. So we are getting ready for a start.
Yep, and Jordan Mercer, we're seeing her for the first time. I know she had some hefty sup goals this year for herself. Ended up getting an injury, so kind of coming back, feeling healthy. And this is the first time we've seen her compete on the APP World Tour this year. So it's good to see Jordan Mercer in yellow out here in Japan.
She is the winningest gold medal world champion in the ISA paddleboard at the SUP paddleboard, and the ISA coming off a huge success here in Japan just last week with the ISA World Surfing Games, with qualifiers advancing into the Tokyo Summer Olympics coming up next August. We'll tell you more about that as we are just moments away here from a start. Anthony Vela, our contest director, right there on the pier, will give the final commands. You see Fiona leaning. There's a big horn, so clean start, no false starts, and there's Jordan Mercer. Bit of a hiccup on her third paddle, and Yuka Sato with clean water has maybe an advantage here, but look at Fiona Wilde.
Yeah, Fiona got the jump on Jordan. Jordan looking a little uncomfortable from the get-go there, but we're going to watch Fiona take this first turn on her toe side. She is ahead of Yuka on the other side, but pretty close here.
And Jordan Mercer going down on the first buoy turn. Here we go, Fiona, Yuka, 1-2. Mercer in third. Fiona this year in the sprints in London, she was fifth place, just missing the final, and another fifth place showing in New York. So 2 fifths in the sprints. She wants to make the final here. We will have a consolation final and a grand finale for both men and women. Here we go. Fiona Wilde out in the lead.
Yep, Fiona looking pretty comfortable in the lead right about now. They both saw Jordan Mercer, you see right there, playing catch up. So you could tell they still want to win the heat, but they definitely have a good look at where they are in position. And Fiona just ahead of Yuka still. It's going to come down to picking a nice line and keeping your head up and not going too far to the side of the tunnel like we saw with Seychelle.
Now here we go. Fiona on the right, Yuka on the left. Yuka's powering through on that Sonova board to see if she can catch Fiona on the starboard. As they're cheering them on, you can hear the crowd. Unofficially 146 for the win for Fiona Wilde. Yuka Sato will take second. Jordan Mercer in third unofficially. Into the semifinals. As we're watching the heat recap, let's watch Jordan Mercer here. 1, 2, 3. That third paddle. I don't know if there was the backwash from Fiona, but she was just not in rhythm.
Yeah, she just didn't get a good catch, and if you don't have a good catch, your paddle will slip, and you just can't take a strong stroke, and you end up losing your balance. Paddle from Jordan from the get-go, but the race really was Fiona and Yuka Sato, and you can see all the way to the end, Yuka battled back pretty hard in that last stretch, and Fiona edges her out pretty much by 1 second.
There we have Fiona Wilde taking the win. Sato second, Jordan Mercer third.
a good shot of the bridge. It's such a cool little venue we have right here. Very amphitheater-like. We got spectators up on top of that bridge, both sides. We got a little beer garden over to the left. On the right-hand side is where the athletes are checking in and everything like that.
Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu and Fiona. A little bit of technical difficulties there. We apologize for that as we are getting ready for our fourth and final heat. Kiyomi Shepherd, she'll be in the yellow there. Chloe Walkerdine from Australia will be in white in her lane. And Annie Reichard from Hawaii will be in red on the far left lane. And Annie moving up in the rankings, going from 8th place after London into the top 4. After a good showing, placing second behind April in the distance, and a 5th place showing, a 2nd place showing. She had, a 6th in the distance and a 2nd in the sprint. So I got that all mixed up. There they are. Annie, Chloe, and our Japanese competitor who lives in Hawaii, Kiyomi. And here we go. Testing the horn. And there we go. Kiyomi with a quick get up, but Chloe on the beautiful, is that the Blackfish Infinity?
Yeah, she's riding a Blackfish LTD version bow. So that's a 14. I think she went the 23 wide. And you see Annie in the far corner on her NSP. Just ahead of Chloe there. Nice buoy turn. Annie does really good in the sprints. I remember last year in London in the pool, same format. She did really well. She actually won that event, so obviously did really well. There's Chloe in second.
Well, Annie was in 2nd place behind Seychelle at the New York Sprints just a couple of weeks ago in Long Beach. Annie, good clean turn in the red jersey. On the far side, here we go, Chloe Walkerdine from Australia. Nice turn. Can she make up some ground here? 1 minute into this sprint. Coming up next, men's round number 2, the repechage round. We'll follow that with women's repechage round number 2 also. Welcome to the 2019 Osaka Sub Open, stop number 3 on the racing tour. And we'll be crowning our world champions back in Paris this year, coming up in December.
Yeah, getting ready for Paris. That was such a fun, iconic event on tour. You see Annie with a good lead around that buoy. She's going to be hard to catch for Chloe, but Chloe having a solid first round. And it's pretty cool. We came from the beach sprint format in New York straight to the flatwater technical course. So Annie, very good in both.
145 unofficially for Annie Reichard, taking first place going into the semifinals. She'll move on with Fiona Wilde in that 2nd semifinal. And Jade Heusen, April Zilg, Fiona Wilde, Annie Reichard, winners of their heats here in round 1, find themselves into the semifinals. Chloe going into the final heat of women's. Here's a heat recap. You saw our Japanese competitor getting up fast, but look at Chloe. And Annie Reichard with a clean turn, taking the lead and making some distance here. Okay, round one, men's, women's, all wrapped up. We're moving into round number 2. We've got a total of 4 heats in the men's round number 2. Our first 3 will be 3-man heats, and our fourth and final heat of the men's round will be a 4-man heat format. So I believe we have Ty Judson, Martin Vitry, Jackson Maynard in this first heat of this round. Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu with our heat winner, with Annie Reichard.
Part of the run and a lot of cruising in the end. How do you feel?
I feel great. You know, I think every first heat you kind of get the little wobbles out, and you know, it's kind of weird just figuring out how the water feels and how the buoy turns are going to feel in the heat of the moment. And it felt great out there. It was a nice kind of cruisy heat for me, and it was great to just kind of get my feet wet and feel how my board felt, and you know, just get the heart rate up.
Well, you're through to the next round. Congratulations, and back to you, boys.
All right, thanks. Congratulations, Annie. She's had a great year.
They went straight to you.
Crossed the
No way.
line
Go,
for
go.
second
That's
time
fine.
on the foil, the only female ever to do that back-to-back years.
Absolutely. I'm such a big Annie Reichard fan just
Yeah.
because she's just rad. You know, I love how she foils and surfs, and she's good at sprinting when she wants to do, you know, be good at distance. She could do that as well. And she's just always in a good mood. She just has a rad spirit, and you know, she's one of the best on tour.
So what has Annie been doing in between New York and Osaka? Well, she was playing around with the wing foil over on her home island of Maui last week.
Yeah, and she already posting photos of her doing airs with the wing foil, so she's just badass. And you know, when she's not on the race board, she's pretty much on the foil board. And yeah, I want to be from Maui, Bo.
Oh my God, it's the playground of water sports. Let me tell you, it's a fun place. And there's our race director, Anthony Vela, talking to Lena and Casper. And pretty much this first round for both men and women. No real big hiccups. We saw Jordan Mercer go down. There's Jordan there in yellow. So he's getting the seating there. Now this is do or die coming up in both men's and women's round. Top 2 will advance on into the quarterfinals for the men, and top 2 for the women will advance on into the semifinals for the ladies. So the seeding getting reseeded by the placements and the advancements. So no competitors lost out. And there we go. There's our 3-man heat. Ty Judson from Australia in red, fellow Aussie Jackson Maynard in yellow, Martin Vitry from France in white. And what an event Martin had in New York.
Yeah, the Flying Frenchman. He's feeling good as well. I talked to him, and he was one of the guys that went straight to Germany as well, I believe. So he's been getting a lot of racing in and feeling trained up and stoked to be here in Japan.
Well, Martin moved up from 14th after London into the top 5 at number 5. So a big advancement for Martin Vitry with a 2nd place in the New York sprints and a 3rd place in the New York distance. Placing 3rd overall in New York. You see some of the athletes, some of the winning athletes, finding out what heats they're in. Athletes need to know so they can pace themselves. We're off on a boat to the right-hand side on the river in the commentary booth, and we're seeing athletes just going on by us. We see Lincoln Dews now just passing us by, Kenny Kaneko. These guys are warming up in the river. There's Martin in yellow, just sitting, waiting. So we've got a bit of a delay here before we get into this round. A little slippery on this outcropping. You see Stu from London, one of our cameramen there with Matu. So we're seeing Annie Reichard. This is Pat on the motorized craft.
Oh, we might get a cameo right
Yeah,
here,
we
Bo.
might get a
Coming
cameo.
up to our boat.
There's Boothie. Big George. Ty. He's coming up in the next heat. See that white boat? That's not the boat we're in. We're in the boat to the left of that. So Ty getting word that he's in that first heat.
Yep, and Ty looks like he's going to choose a different board for this round. We were talking about the narrow dugout boards for these sprint technical races. I think it's a wise choice for Ty to go to that flat deck, probably a little wider as well. So it's
Well,
gonna be
we saw Michael Booth in New York having some problems with the dugout and during the sprints.
Yeah, he Well, he did choose that open ocean board for the distance race. And remember, he was getting hung up on those buoy turns. But there were a few racers choosing to ride dugouts in the surf, which in the end proved to be more challenging.
There's our Tahitian competitors getting back out in the water. There's the broadcast boat as we're anchored off.
There. They're trapping us in here, Bo.
Yeah, you know, this is a dojo room. We have to have our shoes off here. You know, there's
That's true. I put mine back on when I left. I got to take mine off now.
We've got TV screens here. We've got a Japanese commentating booth with some dignitaries over on the Japanese side. So English and Japanese webcasts going around the world. Welcome to the 2019 Osaka Sub Open. Stop number 3 on the APP World Tour. London was in May. Just a week and a half ago, we were in Long Beach in New York and downtown southern Manhattan. Stop number 3, distance racing coming up tomorrow, the 13K 8-miler around this beautiful area known as Nakanoshima Park. As our cameras are scanning around, beautiful area to watch this from the bridges from both sides, all sides. And even we found a microbrewery across the street, 8 floors up.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. What a view, huh? What a view for a tall, cold one.
Yeah, if you're looking for it, they're known as Ones. That's ONE''S Brewery. And a beautiful view here on the Dojima River here in Osaka. Now there's a typhoon southwest of us right now, and they were projecting some inclement weather today and tomorrow, but right now the rain hit us yesterday. It's kind of a slow drip rain. Didn't really bother us, and this kind of moved its way through, so I believe that storm has gone more towards the Korea side of the Sea of Japan. There's One's Brewery. You can see it right now. It's next to the brown building where it says Grand Cru. The 8th floor there with the sign there. Beautiful buildings here on Osaka. There's Ollie from New Zealand. Or is that Ty? No, that's Ollie. Ollie will be in heat number 4. There's Jackson Maynard. We know his dad, Chris, is watching live on the webcast. The Maynard clan. Of course, Jacko, he is not only a competitor in Nutri-Grain, he was Joel Parkinson's manager, Team Billabong.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Jackson Maynard, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Parko winning the Hawaiian Open last year in the Triple Crown of Surfing, possibly going all the way for his 4th Triple Crown title, was 1 heat out of winning his 4th Triple Crown title in his retirement year.
Would have been storybook ending kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's Ty Judson. So 2 Aussies, 1 Frenchman in this heat. Now, 1 man will be eliminated in this round, 3rd place. So you're going to see probably the most contested battle is for 2nd place in these heats.
Yep, we will be losing someone from the bracket this round.
Checking out the pairings that are coming up here in the 2nd round. 4 heats. We'll have 3 3-man heats, 1 4-man heat. That 4-man heat will be our 4th and final heat of this round. So the fastest time, unofficially, taking a look, looks like it was Danny Ching, 1:23 unofficially in round number 1. The women's times, 1:39 from April. So Danny and April winning the best times in round 1, but that'll all be scratched. Now we're in the elimination round. 3rd and 4th in this round will be eliminated.
Like a fat in your lane. You'll see Ty Judson by himself in red. And Martin and Jackson on the right, you know, they kind of have another horse to push them where Ty's relied on himself to kind of gauge how fast to go.
Well, I was talking with Jackson Maynard prior to his heat. I said, man, you've got the unfortunate draw with Casper and Lincoln in your first round heat. Now he finds Martin and Ty in his second round heat, so he'll be tested. Hosuyo from Hungary, living in Thailand. His brother just coming off a race over in Italy this past week after completing the 11 cities. And here we go. We've got a clean start here. And it looks like Martin Vitry in yellow with a quick lead over Jackson Maynard in blue. But let's keep our attention to the man in red, Ty Judson. Martin powering through on his first lap. On the turn, forehand turn, toe side. About a half-board lead, good clean turn for Ty Judson.
Yeah, look how much quicker Ty was on that buoy turn compared to his first round with that dugout board. Definitely looking a lot more confident and solid, but Martin looking really good as well. Let's see how his buoy turn ends up being.
40 seconds on the buoy, and here we come. Now the battle for second place, and it looks like a dead heat between the two Aussies. Maynard on the left in blue. Judson on the red on the right side. And here we go. Jackson Maynard has made some ground.
Here we go. Martin Vitry from France in the lead. Looks like he's going to run away with this one. The race is for second. Maynard has a jump on Ty Judson at the buoy turn.
Well, here we go. First, second, advance into the quarterfinals to meet our leaders. And it looks like Ty Judson has now taken over second place. There we go. And Maynard's going to beat him by a nose.
Yeah, Maynard got him. Ty actually, he got into that lower crouchy side of the bridge. He went into the bridge, but had to duck and wasn't in a long stroke. And there you have it. Jackson slides right in there in second. So we'll say goodbye to Ty Judson in the sprints.
You can see Jackson Maynard, he is spent right there, congratulating Martin on the win. So unofficially 132 on the time for Martin Vitry. So round two, heat one winner will go, excuse me, Martin Vitry with Connor Baxter and Danny Ching. Wow, congratulations, he just won a heat. A couple of world champs. So round two, heat one. Jackson Maynard will be with Noik and Michael Booth.
Yep, and here we go. Heat number two, Lincoln Dews in blue, Enzo Bennett in yellow, and Kenny Kaneko from Japan in red. Kaneko is on the far side by himself in the single lane.
Kenny will actually be in the white jersey because red was allocated to a Heat 1 third place competitor, which we did not have. We're just moments, so you can see Lincoln on the lean. There he goes on the stand-up. So Lincoln and Enzo. Enzo with just about a nose lead. And it's going to be interesting who's going to be on the buoy on the inside turn. You can see Enzo's kind of cutting off Lincoln right here. Lincoln's going to have a shot, but no, he can't squeeze in there. And thus, he's going to lose some ground, and going down is Kenny Kaneko. And here we go, Enzo Bennett, now with a clean turn on the buoy in the lead. The battle for second place, Lincoln Dews has it.
Yeah, Kenny unfortunately goes down, the local boy. He's got a lot to do to catch up with these hammers right here. And Enzo, let's see how good he is around this buoy. Looks pretty solid, but look at Lincoln just much faster on his heel side, right in the mix. Kenny did a good job of coming back, though. He's right there.
Look at Lincoln Dews. He's made up some ground with that hiccup on that first turn. He actually had the nose of his board on the tail turn here And that's what Lincoln wants also. Forehand turn, toe side, 1 and 2.
Yeah, but if they don't fall, they pretty much have it. Kenny rounding that buoy again, a little bit slower.
And here we go, Enzo Bennett cruising in for the win. Unofficially at 131. Lincoln Dew's second place, also advancing to the quarterfinals. And Kenny Kaneko out of the Osaka Sub Open sprints.
Yeah, it's got to be disappointing for Kenny. Obviously, local boy from Japan. He's pretty much a hero. I'd imagine a lot of the guys here to watch the event came to specifically watch Kenny. So that's all right. We're going to see Kenny again tomorrow in the distance race. But Enzo Bennett, he did a really good job having that disadvantage on the outside lane. You have to get ahead of the guy on right to squeeze that buoy turn in first.
And there's Kenny Kaneko going down and losing momentum. He had clean water with him, but there is a little bit of backwash floating through here from the reverb.
Yeah, even for these guys, it's pretty, like April was saying in her interview, there's a lot of bounce and reverb, and especially from the side, that's the most challenging kind of bump. So even for these guys, it's a challenging little course.
So unfortunate for Kenny Kaneko, out along with Ty Judson. There's the unofficial results there. Official now, Enzo Bennett, Tahiti in first, Lincoln Dew's from Australia in second. Kenny Kaneko from Japan is now out in third place.
That's the name of the game, though, Bo. Everybody at this level is so fast and so good. It's whoever could have basically mistake-free racing. And as we've seen in a couple of heats, you make one little mistake, chances are it's going to be hard to come back from them.
There you saw a shot of Daniel Hosilio in yellow and Henry Harries in white. It'll be Itzel Delgado from Peru in red on the left-hand side. There's Itzel. Shot underneath the bridge. That's the start-finish line, the arc. There's Daniel on left, Henry on right.
Yeah, and Itzel getting the single lane. We'll see how it plays out with him.
He's been in good spirits all week.
Yeah, he's looking pretty fresh.
Cruising around on his skateboard.
Yeah, he's been skateboarding down the alleyways and all that stuff. Whatever it takes, Bo. I know he's been, he stays in a hotel, 15-minute train ride from here.
And how huge was that for him at the Pan Am Games just a couple of months ago?
He's a bona fide star in Peru now. And basically, if you check out his Instagram, every time he's at home, he's just at another news station doing an interview. So he's straight up a celebrity and a Peruvian hero.
Well, he's moved up from 11th after London to 8th place in the top 10 of the APP World Rankings.
Yeah, and he's been training, getting stronger and stronger. I know he wanted to do better in New York. But same thing, like Kenny, he felt the buoy and you're just done. You can't fall and expect to win with the talent pool in these heats.
Well, Itzel there in red had a 9th place showing in the London sprints, a 13th place showing in the New York sprints. In the distance race, he was 10th in London and 7th in New York. So he made a big improvement on the distance in New York City, the Statue of Liberty race. So final instructions being given out to our competitors. Some local media up there taking shots. Osaka's been a great host for this event. 2 years ago, the APP World Tour was just south of Tokyo in Enoshima, the site of the 1964 sailing Olympic site. And of course, the Olympics are coming back next year here in Japan, all over Japan. And of course, the big news for water sports is that the ISA and Fernando Aguirre getting surfing into the Olympics for the 2020 Tokyo Games. And Fernando's just not happy with that. He's hoping for Paris and Los Angeles after that in 2024 and 2028. The possibility of getting some introduction of SUP racing, whether it be sprints, whether it be the technical race, whether it be the distance, whether it be the SUP surfing. Here's a shot that Paris or Los Angeles, two ocean-friendly, surf-friendly nations, could see sup surfing, sup racing in some format in the Olympics, 8 years from now.
Yeah, and that event they had, the Pan Ams in Peru, what a great platform to showcase SUP. They had great conditions for the surf as well for the race. So
Punta Rocas?
it was insane. It was big
Fiery.
waves, provided lots of action and, carnage, as they say. And, yeah, it was just a great platform to showcase the sport, to the Olympics.
And the people down in Miraflores and down in Peru, they really showed up attendance-wise to watch surfing in the Pan Am Games for the first time. And even the president of Peru made an appearance on the final day. So being a team manager for Infinity, Dave, what do you tell Itzel and some of your competitors racing here in Osaka?
I don't tell them too much. These guys are pros. They race a lot. They've been doing this for a while. We'll kind of maybe discuss board decision, certain things like that. These guys even think about what fin they're going to use, more stable one versus potentially a faster one out of the hole. A lot of these guys will use a different length paddle, bigger size blade even. So it's kind of piecing all those elements into the conditions and what you think is going to work best for you in this type of situation.
I'm seeing some of the athletes even with shorter paddles.
Yeah, for sprinting for sure, because obviously you're closer to the paddle when you're shorter, and you're it forces you to be in a more powerful stance, and it's faster for a shorter period of time. But over a distance race, the shorter paddle, then you start coming into like a lower back problem, or it gets more tired. But for the quick strikes sprinting, it's definitely better.
Well, here we go. Off with a start. Itzel in red, Daniel in yellow. We can see white.
Really where he completely turned the board around the corner before taking a stroke, but Daniel's coming back quite nicely on the way back.
Of course, no Bruno Josulio. He's on a 11-city hangover tour, just completing 5 40-kilometer day races through 11 cities in Europe, winning it yet again. And Itzel Delgado with the lead here after lap 1.
Yep, and Itzel and Daniel both opting for a flat-decked board like we've been talking about, just much easier to navigate around the deck for these buoy turns, much more stable and comfortable platform. And as we've seen, it's come down to these buoy turns in most of these sprint races. Itzel looking solid every buoy turn, quite nice.
So coming under the bridge on the beautiful Blackfish Infinity board, Itzel Delgado from Peru is going to win this heat. On the starboard, right behind him, Daniel Sulio. And there you go, 1:31. Same time as Enzo Bennett from heat number 2. And congratulations going out to Itzel Delgado and Daniel Sulio, moving on into the quarterfinals and elimination for our Tahitian, Henry Harries. Here's a heat recap. And look at the start that Daniel had here.
Yeah, and there's basically a difference right there. Itzel just a nicer buoy turn to get about that half a board length ahead of Daniel, and then they kind of just stayed there the rest of the way.
Well, Itzel will be paired against Arthur Arukin and our Japanese phenom Rai Taguchi, winners of their respected heats, as we're seeing Enzo Bennett there in blue. Here's the results. Heat 3, round 2, top 2 advancing into the men's quarterfinals. So we'll have our first look at a 4-man heat of the day. We're going to have 2 competitors on each side. This will be really exciting. You got Ali from New Zealand. He'll be in red. George Cristance from Tahiti will be in white. Kiwakawa from Japan will be in yellow, and Ricky from Tahiti will be in the blue. So that's not Enzel Bennett. That's Ricky. So I had it wrong here. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. There they are. Okay, so that's Ricky on the right. And Tsuyo Kitagawa from Japan on the left in yellow. Japan, we're getting ready for a start here. You can see him leaning on in. And this is something you got to practice, the sit-down starts.
Yeah, that's something I failed to mention. Like, you know, when we saw someone as talented and a paddler as Jordan Mercer, you could tell she hasn't maybe put a lot of time into the sit-down sprint start.
That probably cost her that hiccup into that round. And here we go. Our first full four-person heat here. And we'll see two paddlers turning on the buoys right across from each other. And here we go. Kitagawa in yellow and in white, George Cristance.
Wow.
And look at the move that Ricky Atami has made here on the buoy turn.
That was super impressive because Ricky got to that buoy second. Buoy's around the outside.
So remember, top two of these four-man heat will advance into the quarterfinals. A little bit off balance there from George Cristance. Here we go. We see red Ali Padak from New Zealand. And Itami in blue making a move here.
Yep, the two Tahitians, 1 and 2 at the moment. George has had the cleanest water, so to speak, out in the lead.
George will make the first turn here. Itami, but not too far behind, is Ollie. Watch Ollie. He needs to gain up some ground here on Ricky.
Oh,
red and blue.
Yep, so Ollie had a little bit of a bobble on that, getting a little bit of side wash, putting him up on rail, unable to get a good, strong stroke. So looks like the Tahitians. Oh, look at this though. Wow.
It's going to be too close to call for us here. We're not going to call it there. We'll let the officials make the call here. Unofficial time 1:37. So our slowest second round heat of the men, but probably our most competitive.
Yeah, that was interesting because Itami almost let off too soon where
Ollie was making a move.
Ollie was right there, hard to see from our side.
Let's watch the heat recap here. Quick get up here for Tommy, but watch the move that he makes wide here. Doesn't give up, powers through this, and there, missing a paddle in yellow was Kitagawa, and he lost the race there.
Yeah, and Itami, if you watched, he stayed back on the tail to make that move around Kikuawa, and it paid dividends.
That's close between red and blue right there. We'll see if our official comes up here. We're going to move into women's round 2. Coming up for our Wahinis, we'll have Seychelle in this heat, and here's the results. It's going to be Ricky in blue.
Ooh,
look how close it was.
One.
13835 to 13959. And just even a second behind Ollie was Kiwagawa. So George Cristance takes first. Ricky in second. Ollie third, eliminated, and Kiwagawa fourth, also eliminated. So George Cristance will go into our quarterfinal heat number 2. And Ricky Itami, so the two Tahitians advancing on into the quarterfinals. Here we go, round 2, repechage round. So Yuka Sato in yellow. We'll have a 4-lady heat here. Heat 1, Seychelle will be in red. It doesn't look like Seychelle in red.
That's Jade Heusen.
That's Jade
So
Heusen.
we didn't get the final call on that. So it looks like there was something wrong with that start with Jade and Seychelle. So apparently Seychelle did win that heat. So Jade here in the repechage.
Okay, so Seychelle will be in the first semifinal with April. World's number 1 and 2 pairing together. So we'll correct. So that's why we were wondering why Seychelle was getting interviewed there, even though Jade Heusen beat her. But maybe Jade had a
false start.
False start, and
I'm not sure.
Here we go. Jade in red, Yuka in yellow. You can see in the white, that's Riki Akuakai. So our 2 Japanese competitors on the right. And we're supposed to have Kiyomi Shepard here in blue, but she's a no-show. And Jade Heusen leading out Yuka Sato in second. Remember, top 2 of these 3 ladies will advance on into semifinals. Yuka, a 5th place in the sprints in London, a 7th place in the sprints in New York, and is currently 2nd place here in this first heat of the second round. There's Yuka Sato. And the 2 Japanese competitors, yellow and white, and being dusted by Jade Heusen in her first appearance on the APP World Tour here in Osaka.
So we got the final buoy turn for Jade Heusen in red. You see Yuka Sato in yellow from Japan making a turn as well. So Jade getting out of the repechage. And like Yuka Sato as well will be moving on into the semifinal.
Well, we're going to have a rematch between Jade and Seychelle, along with April in that first semifinal. Yuka Sato will go against Annie Reichard and Fiona Wilde in second semifinal. So unofficially, first place Jade Heusen, Yuka Sato in second. Rika Akuakai in third, and no show from fourth place. Here's the heat recap. And good technique there for Jade on the start.
Yeah, Jade's definitely fundamentally sound. She spends a lot of time in the surf on her race board, so good footwork, you know, nice fast cadence. So Jade's going to be one to watch here. And she's nice and, you know, small and light, so that all plays into a quick start.
Coming up, this is our final heat of the second round. Just 2 heats in this women's repechage round number 2. We're going to see Lynn Alagaitis, Jordan Mercer, Chloe Walker-Dean. There's Chloe in blue. See Jordan's board in pink there. She'll be in yellow again.
Yeah, and it was cool just off screen. I don't know if you noticed, but Jordan just practiced a couple sit-down starts. So Jordan, obviously a veteran competitor, she absolutely knows that's a disadvantage for her. So
yeah, multi-world champion, and there's the draw. Hey, Seychelle, April, guess what? You're both in the semifinals, even though you're ranked 1 and 2. It's just the advancements and the placings, how they advanced out of their heats. So 1 and 2 going into the semifinal number 1 with Jade Heusen, and we saw Jade actually out paddle Seychelle in Heat 1 round 1.
Yeah, Jade's gonna be hard to beat. I mean, like we were saying, she's fundamentally sound and she's light and quick. And in these sprints, if you could get up to your feet and get out of the hole fast, it's gonna be hard to beat you.
There's Lynn Alagaitis from Canada. There's Danny Ching. He just paddled by us. He's back on the pier. Connor Baxter, Martin Vitry. There's some of the Tahitians over there. There's our official staging area. We've got Dave Nash there under camera there. Behind him, Matu from Total Sup doing our interviews. And the spectators taking advantage of the bridges. They actually have a crossing guard. You got to walk on the left-hand side on this bridge.
It's serious business up there.
Yeah.
It's a cool perspective, though. I was up there checking out the open heats, and everybody standing on that side watched the race, and when the guy goes under the bridge, everyone races to the other side. It's pretty cool.
All right, tell us about Chloe's board here.
Yeah, so Chloe's, I'm pretty sure she's riding the same exact board Itzel's riding. They're sharing the board, so it's a 14-foot by 23 Infinity Blackfish. It's a flat deck, so, super easy to turn around a buoy and move about the deck of the board. And it's a planing style hole, so that they're really fast off the starting line, a lot of the planing boards out here today.
We're actually on an island in a river of the Dojima River. There's Connor Baxter. So on either side of us, and this is known as the Kanoshima Park. And of course, there's the subway underground, and there's, the freeway going above us, sideways of us, and the skyline here in Osaka is just pretty amazing.
And there's a rose garden.
There's a rose garden here in the Kanoshima Park here. We saw some retirees with their wheels and their tools attending to the rose garden here, just off camera of us. And there's Jordan Mercer, the 8-time Molokai to Oahu paddleboard world champion. Of course, Harriet Brown's won the last couple of here in the past few years. And Jordan switched more of her attention to the Nutri-Grain Iron Woman Series and winning the Maui Jim Molokai Challenge back in May, where Michael Booth competed in that same race right after the London APP event. Boothie placing in the top 10. And there's Itzel. Shaka, brah.
Powered by Quinoa. Quinoa.
And, of course, he was telling you what he was listening to in his jam session.
Well, I could guess because all he listens to is reggaeton.
Yeah. There's Suzuki-san. Drove 6 hours from Tokyo to get to Osaka.
Yeah, look he's running the show down there.
Yeah.
VIP status.
All right, there's some of the guys getting ready for their heat. There's Lincoln Dews in the famous striped shorts he's always wearing. Jackson Maynard right there with the towel. Danny Ching in the white jersey. Boy, what a heat that's going to be. We got Arthur Arukin, Rai Taguchi, Itzel Delgado, and Ricky Atami in the first heat. Tuan Puyo, Casper Stein Fath, Daniel Osilio, George Cristance in the second heat. Connor Baxter, Danny Ching, Martin Vitry, Lincoln Dews, heat number 3. That's the all-star heat. Noik Gerrard, Michael Booth, Jackson Maynard, and Enzo Bennett in that final heat. So a bit of a delay here starting our final heat. We're going to see Chloe Walker-Dean in blue. She'll be alone in that far lane. Jordan Mercer and Lena Agaitis will be in the lane together on the right-hand side. There they are. You see the two different styles of how they're going to approach. Now pretty similar there. And there we go. We got to start. A cleaner start for Jordan Mercer. No hiccups there. She's got the clean water. But here comes Lena Agaitis, a former ISA world champion.
Yeah, so Jordan getting a much better start. She actually got up before Lena, but Lena having that just strong, smooth strokes, able to beat her to the buoy. Does a good job getting around that buoy on that Sonova board. Chloe's right there as well on the other side.
Yeah, Chloe with a cleaner buoy turn takes second place over Jordan Mercer. Here we go. A guy that's from Canada in first. The two Aussies in second and third, being led by Chloe Walker-Dean. Jordan Mercer in third right now. Here we go on the first lap, 40 seconds in. And Lena's going to make a good clean turn. Toe side. A little off balance there. Here we go. Chloe Walker-Dean, technical, making sure she doesn't fall. And the Aussies is going to be battling out here for second place.
Yeah, Chloe, she did a nice smooth turn, but she took her little time. I'd like to see her go a little quicker around that buoy. Jordan put a little more effort and kind of gained some ground with a quicker buoy turn. Lena way out in front. She's going to cruise to first unless something weird happens here.
Look at the Sonova board turning there. Here we go on the turn. Chloe gets to the buoy first. A quicker turn this time around. She'll have the advantage over Jordan Mercer. See Jordan still on her turn. So Lina Agaitis will cruise through victory here in our second heat of the women's round 2. Chloe Walkerdine in second. Jordan taking a wide turn. She has to crisscross. Unofficial time 1:43 for Lina Agaitis. Chloe now taking second place. Jordan Mercer eliminated in this second round. So round 2, heat 1 goes to Lina Agaitis. And Chloe Walkerdine. She'll be in that star-studded heat with Seychelle, April, Jade Heusen, and Chloe. So our women's semifinals are set. Now back to the men's action. Now from here on out through our finals, we're going to have 4-man format. Here we go, the official results. Lina Agaitis in first, Chloe Walkerdine in second, Jordan Mercer eliminated in third. It's good to see Jordan competing in this event. This is not her specialty.
No, definitely not her specialty, but I mean, just she's so talented and she's actually done pretty good in some of the events she's been in. These sprint ones where it's real technical and quick like that, you know, it's probably her weakest point because she probably doesn't spend a ton of time going over like the little basic fundamentals on her stand-up paddleboard. But you get her in a long distance race where you can get in the groove and the endurance and the training comes in, you know, she's actually done quite well.
Yeah, we saw her in 2018 at the Maui Gym Ocean Shootout over on Maui where they compete in surf ski, paddleboard, prone paddleboards, SUP, OC1, swim, run, and she won the overall in 2018 at the Maui Gym. So she's crossed over into that event also. But we'll see her. I think her specialty will be the distance race coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, and we'll see how much time she's put in on the board. You know, see if she could be a dark horse, kind of get in that lead pack and be in the mix.
Okay, we see Danny Ching there on the 404. He's got good clean turns. Look at those turns. There's Casper Stein Fath in blue. The Viking winning the New York Sprints. As you said, he's riding the 12.6. So these athletes are allowed to switch down to a lower board. Probably back to the 14 tomorrow on the distance.
Yeah, you gotta think though everybody will be on a 14 tomorrow. The rules are 14 and under, so I mean you could even ride a 6-foot board if you wanted to. But the 12.6, Casper's been known to kind of bring that out of the bag in these style of races.
Well, we've seen Casper and Kai Lenny ride 12.6s at the PPG a couple years ago.
Yep. So you know that's something he kind of does. So, and you know he won his first heat. So.
Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu.
Sorry. Going back. Congratulations, Lina. You're through to the semis. How did that race go for you?
Yeah, it's good. You know, I love sprinting. I always struggle a little bit with my turns, but so far I haven't made too many mistakes, so it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, so it felt good.
How was the competition in that heat for you?
It's good. It's two people that I don't really know from Australia, so it's always nice to compete against new people. It's always a surprise.
Exciting semis ahead. Thank you, boys.
All right, thanks so much. And Lina's excited there, advancing on into the semifinals. She'll be up against Yuka Sato, Annie Reichard, Fiona Wilde. There's Yuka and Chloe checking in with our officials, finding out heats. So a bit of a delay here getting the men the recap because we had 4 heats in men's round 2, only 2 heats in women's round 2. So quick turnover for the men. And this is going to be really exciting. We've seen 2- and 3-man heats all through the day. Just a couple of 4-man heats. I think just one we've seen earlier. But now both men and women will be competing 4-man format. And here we go, our first quarterfinal. World number 1 from France in red, Artur Arukin. Right, Taguchi from Japan with that surprising first round win. will be the second seed in white. Itzel Delgado from Peru with an impressive round 2 win in yellow. And Ricky Atami just squeaking in, getting that second place coming into this first quarterfinal heat. There's Pat Myers giving us our water angle. Pat was flying our drone during the New York race. Here we go, Martin Vitry, Annie Reichard, Connor Baxter there, Noik, Jade. Pretty much this whole SUP tour, the APP World Tour, the whole SUP industry, big family, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, we go to a lot of events and you see a lot of the same guys, and yeah, a lot of these guys travel around the world with each other, and yeah, so it's, you know, you get to see friends every event, so it's always cool to, you know, go to the after party or the pre-event and just hang out in all these beautiful places around the world. APP gives us that opportunity to do that.
Well, last night was the opening ceremonies of the pre-party, and VIPs got to go on a riverboat during the night here on the Jima River, excuse me. And even a couple of the paddlers were paddling right next to the VIP boat.
Yeah, for some reason, every country where you're not allowed to paddle lets the APP, you know, go down and paddle. You know, like that River Thames and in New York around the Statue of Liberty, and we get VIP access.
Yeah, the Seine River coming up in Paris in the dead of winter in December. How cold was that race last year?
That I didn't even race on the race. I was on the boat with Mathieu, and it was so cold. I'm not kidding. I wore a pair of jeans over a pair of jeans, and I'm still freezing. Mathieu had gloves. I didn't have gloves.
You almost need a ski outfit.
Honestly, I'm coming prepared. I'm
You
bringing
need
my
long
Alpine
johns.
gear, for sure.
You need a ski outfit. You need the all-weather terrain, you know.
It is no joke.
And there's a guy who's from London, Stuart, one of our main camera guys, as we're getting ready for a lineup here in quarterfinal heat number 1. And our hats off to Christian Henney and his fine staff, working overtime, getting this production ready here in Osaka. We got Sai on the master controls over here. And can't forget our Japanese compadres over here, also giving us commentary in Japanese.
And here we go. Remember Rai Taguchi from Japan with that impressive win. Look at him straight out into it again.
He is so fast on the start. Let's see. On the transition here, you can see Martin Vitry. No, that's Arthur Arukin in red. Martin's in the next heat. Here we go. Slowing down on the buoy turn. Taguchi. And there's Artur, our world champion from last year, current world number 1 on that Fnatic purple board. And here comes Rai Taguchi, excuse me.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed with Rai Taguchi. He is just on fire out of the hole when he gets up. Arthur Arukin hanging tough, and Itzel right on his tail. So Itzel's got to do some work to get up with Taguchi, because Taguchi's in the lead on his side, so no one in front of him. Itzel still very much in it. He's got to worry about Arthur to get around this buoy quick, so he could get around quick as well and catch Taguchi. Let's see how Arthur does. So he looks doing good. So Itzel's going to get there right before Taguchi, but he's behind Arthur. So let's see if he doesn't get stuck behind his snake of draft.
And I believe Itzel had the better turn of the two between Taguchi, but Taguchi's got this.
He's got cleaner water,
He's got clean water, and he's powering through. Remember, top 2 advance. Taguchi could take the win here. It'll be Artur and Rai. Itzel, unfortunately, in third, 1:25 unofficially. And Rai Taguchi could be the story of the Osaka Sprints now into the semifinals.
Yeah, very impressive paddling by Taguchi. It's got to be rad to do well in front of your fans. The crowd was loud that heat, Bo, so guys definitely here to support him, but watch him come out of the hole right here in white. Taguchi gets up and gets going so fast. Boom. And here he goes. He starts winding it up. Tap, 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 and he's gone.
But it's Delgado. He still made a race of this.
Yeah, and that's where this four-man setup comes into play. Itzel actually was ahead of him coming into the last stretch, but he had to deal with Arthur Arukin's draft snake and was unable to crawl out of that, while Ryan had clean water and edges him out right there at the end. So tough one for Itzel Delgado, but that's the name of the game in these sprint races.
And there's Itzel right now, just getting it all in. I mean, he paddled hard enough to advance into the semifinals, but he was just about maybe a half second, full second behind. Let's see the times here. 125.98, 126.76, 128.02. So just a second and a half behind. But he was there. He was there in the mix, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, these go by so fast, just in a blink of an eye, you're done.
And speaking of that, let's go down Riverside and check in with Matul.
Thank you, boys. Arthur, congratulations. A very competitive heat, quarterfinals, and a very surprising young paddler, Taguchi from Japan, 15-year-old. How did he go?
Yeah, I mean, he was amazing. Yeah, I could see him like next to me the whole race, and I'm super happy to come on top of this quarterfinal and ready for semi now.
And you're the world champ, so we expect some very strong racing in the semis. Back to you, boys.
All right, congratulations, Artur. Not only a world champ and stand-up, but one of the world's best professional windsurfers. As we are getting ready for quarterfinal heat number 2, Casper Stein Fath from Denmark will be in white. We got Tuan Puyol from New Caledonia in red. Daniel Heusen from Hungary will be in yellow, and George Cristance in blue. As you see, T2 and Daniel, red and yellow. And we'll have white and blue on the opposite side. Casper will white. George will be in blue. This could be almost a final right here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to watch. We got 3 flat deck boards against 1 dugout, and 1 12.6 against 3 14. So Casper on that 12.6 Nash board. Let's see if he could get out in front. The shorter boards tend to get up to speed faster, easier and faster to turn around the buoy, but not as fast top speed. So that you can see Tuan right there sitting in his dugout, which also makes it harder for these water starts sitting in those dugouts.
Well, here we go. Good clean start. T2, Daniel, neck and neck coming under the bridge. We can see blue out in the lead. That's George Cristance leading Casper Stein Fath. No, and George is in white.
See,
so
there we go. The dugout Tuan goes down. And look at that. Casper on the 12.6 out in front, clean and fast around the buoy. He's currently running away with this heat.
So Casper, no surprise, winner of the New York Sprints. Winner of the last Red Bull Heavy Water, if we have that. Between October and November, it'll be a one-day go if the surf gets into the 20-foot range. And just missing the knees. T2 almost clipping Daniel Heusen. It was centimeters in between the nose of his board. And here we go, Casper Stein Fath in blue in the lead.
Yep, so Casper just having a clinic this heat. George in his same lane. He's got a good case for second right now.
But Daniel makes the turn, so the battle for second and third. Remember, top 2 advance to the semifinals. Look at Daniel.
Look at Daniel, though. Is he going on the wrong side?
Yeah, he's on the opposite side.
Are you allowed to do that?
Don't know. Don't know right now. Casper unofficially 129.
That's the first we saw of that, Bo. I wonder if that is
off course.
Yeah, I wonder if that's clean or not, but it could have been tactical, right?
Yeah.
He knew it was between him and George, and he maybe angled George off his line to squeeze in there. So,
well, right now we'll give it to Daniel, but there could be a clarification technicality here for Daniel Heusen. And look how quick Daniel and T2 gets, but it was this buoy turn right here for T2. That dugout, just not a clean action, and then the board just going over the head of T2. And Daniel held that lead on that one side, and Casper coasted to the lead, but the battle here between second and third.
For sure, and fortunately for Tuan. But look here's a slow-mo. Daniel goes to the other side, the first time we've seen this all day, and it had to be strategic on his end to veer off George right here. And, you know, I don't know if that's in the rule book or not. We'll wait and see.
Well, we know Casper's first. We'll have the official results coming up here for second and third. Let's go down as we wait for the official results and check in with Matu, Riverside. Take it away.
Hello, boys. Congratulations, Casper. Very competitive quarterfinal, but you put the Viking power on.
Haha, I tried. I think every single quarterfinal is fucking packed, and everyone's like really nervous out there. Just did what I had to do, and I saw T2 fall in, and I realized, fuck, it's gotta take this chance. Take everything you got.
And you're through to the semis. Good job. Back to you, boys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matu. Congratulations, Casper. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. The results. Daniel Cilio is second place. So unless there's a technicality there, they have to be in the same lane, but was not briefed on that, so maybe that wasn't a possibility, but tactical move there for Daniel, moving on into the semifinals. So semifinal one set. And those are the competitors from the last heat coming up in heat number 3. So now it says, no, that was the lineup for, there's the lineup for heat. That's heat 4. So heat 3 is Connor Baxter in red, Danny Ching in white, Martin Vitry in yellow, and Lincoln Dews in blue. So that's heat number 4. So Suyo will be in the second semifinal with Casper Stein Fath, Rai Taguchi, and Arthur Arukin. Okay. We've got 8 more men for 4 more spots from the quarterfinals into the semifinals. And see Danny Ching, he's in the white jersey. See which side he's going to be on. Connor Baxter will be in red. There's Seychelle. She'll get ready for her semifinals, the women's semifinals coming up after the men's quarters. There's Jackson Maynard in yellow. Jacko. Connor's, am I in or out? I'm in. Okay. April and Jade trading some tactics. There's Noik. There's Lincoln in blue. Michael Booth, the Aussies, Danny Ching. So you kind of called it before that heat even started about that dugout could be a problem. Connor Baxter, a 3-time APP World Champion, won his World Racing titles 2014, 2016, 2017. Coming into this event, Connor moved from 13th from London to 6th place after New York. It's been a very competitive year right now. Arthur Arukin, world number 1, moved up from 7th to 1st. Michael Booth has stayed into 2nd place from London into New York. And there's only 500 points separating Artur and Michael coming into the Osaka Open. So this is a very prestigious and high ranking. Now, each competitor will be allowed to drop one of their races.
Miss a race, or choose not to, or you can have a bad result, and it won't hurt you as much.
So Noik just paddling by there in red. You can see this next heat, you know, we called our last heat a final. This heat is a super final, this quarterfinal heat. Connor Baxter, Danny Ching, Martin Vitry, and Lincoln Dews. There's Connor and Lincoln.
Yeah, and Connor and Lincoln have had some great battles over the years. Good friends, good competitors. And Danny Ching posting one of the fastest times in the first round, so we haven't seen him since the first round.
On.
And the flying Frenchman, Martin Vitry. Let's see what he could do with Danny next to him.
Yeah, Martin, let's see what he's done in the sprints this year. London sprints, he was 13th. New York sprints, he was 2nd, so he's improved from May to September. But he's got one of the legends of the sport right next to him, Danny Ching. Battle of the Paddle PPG champion, ISA world champion. Wilde and having the task of those 404 boards. And look at the skyline here. And the sun. Finally seeing the sun after a day and a half of cloudy conditions here. We are ready for a start, Dave. Connor's got that inside lane. Let's see how he protects that on the start. And there we go. Good clean start. Connor with the edge. And look at Lincoln right behind him on the stripes. Baxter out in the lead over Dews. Let's watch the other side. We can see white now leading yellow. That's Danny Ching over Martin Vitry, and they're side by side. So good clean start for Connor Baxter. 3 strokes around the first buoy, and Danny Ching also around the other side. First, second go to the semis.
Yep, so Connor getting a nice good jump on Lincoln. Danny flying on the outside as well. Looks like maybe Lincoln's in third, so he still has a shot at this.
I believe Martin's in third. Here we go on the turn. Danny Ching, good clean toe side, almost falling there. There's Martin Vitry. So Martin, remember, had a second in New York in the sprints. And right now he's odd man out. Here we go. Baxter, Ching, 1-2. And they're neck and neck in different lanes. Here we go on the turn. Heel side turn, 3 strokes, off balance. That gives Danny Ching the advantage on the coming in on the final approach. Connor Baxter in second. And here comes Lincoln Dews. Can he catch Connor Baxter? It's going to be Danny Ching in first. Connor Baxter second. Lincoln Dews third. Martin Vitry fourth. And look at Lincoln. He is spent.
Wow, what an effort by
Whoa.
Lincoln. When he turned the corner on that buoy, he put his head down and he almost got him. Wow, Bo, that was insane. But Danny, solid throughout. He's flying. Danny's looking really good right now.
One of the legends of our sport, and just love the way these guys leave it all out on the water here. And Connor, you know, he had a hiccup and a fall both in London and in New York, and he doesn't want to repeat that. And he gets out in front, clean water, both for Danny and for Connor. But Lincoln and Martin did not give up.
No, Lincoln really had a shot at this right at the end. I loved his tactics. He went around wide and kind of got pushed in from Connor's draft. See, look at the nose right here. Literally 2 feet away. By Lincoln, Martin hung tough right there. He got stuck behind the draft as well. So Danny and Connor Baxter into the semifinals.
Okay, they're going to meet first and second coming up in quarterfinal heat number 4. Noik, Michael, Jackson, Enzo coming up in our next heat. And there's the girls. Semifinals of the girls coming up next, so stay tuned for that. Riverside and check in with Matu.
Thank you, boys. I'm here with Danny Ching. Congratulations on winning your quarterfinal. That looked like a final out there, but you had a very solid start, a very solid finish, very solid buoy turns as well. How do you feel?
You know, that's a hard one. The first one was real heavy in the legs, and it's just hard to get your sprinting muscles going. So it was nice to have a little break and then get a second one under my belt. So I felt pretty solid. Man, some of these kids are fast. So I'm trying not to be too explosive off the line. I want to save something for that last lap if I need it.
Yeah, well, keep it up for the semis. Back to you, boys.
All right, congratulations, Danny. And telling us just how hard it was. There's the two Aussies, Boothie and Jacko. Jackson Maynard in yellow, Michael Booth in white. Noik and Enzo will be on the opposite side in red and blue.
Yeah, and that's cool insight from Danny Ching. If you notice, he said he tries not to jump out so hard off the line so he has something left at the end.
Well, you saw Lincoln. He was just trying everything he could do to get in that top two.
Lincoln emptied the tank. Emptied the tank on that one for sure.
There we go. Noik will be in red, Boothie white and yellow, Jackson yellow. They'll be on the same side. Enzo will be with Noik on the opposite side. Aussie on Aussie there. New Caledonia and Tahiti on the other side. Boothie, world number 2, winning the London distance, 9th place in the London sprints, 2nd place in the New York distance, 6th place in the New York sprints, 2nd overall. Has not won an APP World Tour event title. And looking for 2019. And here we go. We got a clean start here, quarterfinal heat number 4.
Yep, looks like Noik got out the quickest here. Boothie edging out Maynard on his lane. So it's going to be Noik and Boothie first to the buoys here. So Noik in red.
Noik winning the London sprints. That's the man in red. Has the advantage over Michael Booth, but right there, Enzo Bennett, very close for 3rd. Jackson Maynard in 4th.
Yeah, so Enzo's got to get over that draft hump if he wants to try to beat Boothie on the other side. Boothie with cleaner water. And you see Noik, let's see if he goes. He's switch stance. I love it. He goes heel side each buoy turn if you notice this. So I don't know if he's goofy foot or regular. But Boothie's right around that.
And Jackson Maynard keeping up with Michael Booth.
Yeah, he's kind of unassuming the way he paddles. You know, like he doesn't look. You know, Boothie just looks like he's going for it, and Maynard looks a little smoother, has that smooth thing about him where it might look like he's going slow, but he's going really fast.
Well, he's got the bro hat, Noik. Look at that, hat backwards.
Yeah.
And look, the battle for 2nd place, Enzo and Boothie. They're going to be stroking it out here. Enzo may have an advantage here.
Enzo's right there. If he could get over Noik's draft hump, he could ride that in.
This could be a huge upset. Noik takes 1st, and it looks like Enzo Bennett 2nd. Michael Booth is now in 3rd and eliminated from the Osaka sprints. So he'll take a 9th place overall. And Jackson Maynard will take a 13th overall with a 4th place here in the quarterfinals. What an exciting heat. And come from behind, Enzo Bennett, the Tahitian, making a statement here.
Yeah, he was able to climb over Noik's draft and kind of ride him into 2nd place. You know, you get behind that and you get pushed back. So Boothie had more clean water, so to speak, and Enzo just able to edge him out. You see Bowie on the far side over there. Here's the final turn. So right here it came down to this. You see Enzo on that draft, able to hop right in before Boothie. That was incredible.
So a shattering result from Michael Booth. Of course, Boothie had some Brazilian issues in New York during the New York sprints. And, of course, he'll be one of the favorites. You can see he's just beside himself. Look how close it was between
less than a second.
Advancing. Yeah, less than a second. 124.77 to 125.92. But Noik, remember, he had a down sprint day in New York, taking 9th place overall, equal 9th. So he moves on into the top 8. And now we move into our first semifinal heats. Non-elimination round. And what we mean by that, top 2 go into the grand final, 3rd and 4th go into the consolation finals. So there will be placings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here we go. Jade Heusen in yellow, April Zilg in white. Seychelle will be in red, and Chloe Walker-Dean will be in blue. So 3 Americans up against an Aussie. And you got world number 1, world number 2 for the women in this semifinal. Seychelle with a commanding lead, winning 3 of the 4 individual events on the 2 stops in London and New York, sweeping London of the sprints and distance, winning the sprints in New York, placing 4th in the distance around Manhattan and the Statue of Liberty. In April, actually taking out the lone win this year from Seychelle, winning the distance, had a 3rd place in the sprints in New York. And April had a 2nd sprint in London and a 5th place in the distance. So let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu and Noik.
Hey guys, I'm with Noik. Congratulations, Noik, on winning your quarterfinal. You had Michael Booth, Enzo Bennett in that race, but you were 10 meters ahead. You're looking good. You're looking really good today. How do you feel?
Well, I felt super strong today. The course race is a bit hard, a bit too long, I think, for me, but I'm still doing good, so I'll try to keep it that way. And yeah, on the second lap, the water gets super choppy, so it makes things harder. But we are still here.
Well, let's hope you do as well as in London. Back to you, boys.
All right, congratulations, Noik. Thank you, Matu. On to the semifinals. Boy, it's getting heavy.
It is, and Noik, I think if you never thought he was an all-around paddler before, Noik has earned that all-around paddle title. So good in the sprints, so good in the distance, so good in the bump. Noik, one of the stars of the sport these days. As you see, April Zilg in white getting ready. Look at that current, the river current, sweeping these guys down.
Well, we had bigger turn buoys, and they were fine during our amateur races, but this current, this high tide pushing right to left, took them out of place. So we went to the smaller buoys on the inside, and they've been holding out really good. So here in this semifinal, Chloe and Jade, they could play a factor into this world title with April and Seychelle. They could be the upset, the underdog, taking down a future world champ.
That is very true. There could be, this is kind of like the wild cards versus the tour leaders. And they could shake something up, say April makes it, but Seychelle doesn't, or vice versa. That's going to come into the points for the over. And, Jade could very well do that.
Well, I tell you what, if Seychelle can win either the sprints or the distance here in Osaka, she could wrap up the world title here in Osaka without even going to Paris.
Yeah, well, Seychelle having an excellent year this year on the APP World Tour. And Jade been tied up with school.
But Jade's been the surprise so far in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's just, Jade's kind of a fresh face to the APP World Tour. Definitely not a stranger if you're a fan of stand-up paddling. Jade is known for her all-around skills, very good in the surf. She's actually a really good downwinder. Lots of fundamentals.
And how about Seychelle, coming off injury last year, just exploding onto the APP World Tour this year?
Yeah, and Seychelle, her report card is she's obviously very fit, trains really hard, has a really good regimen, very good in distance. She's actually a quick sprinter. I would say, Jade has a little bit better kind of technical skills just from that surf background. So it's just fun to see everybody's skills and how it comes into play with each event. You see Jade just taking big old yawns. we're the opposite time zone. Me and Jade were both from California, you being from Hawaii. But right now we should be sleeping, Bo. So Jade is wide awake, so to speak. taking big old yawns. And this was the time yesterday when you and I were kind of out and about at, at doing our little pub crawl. This is where you and I started hitting the wall. So I feel for Jade right now trying to go into her most important heat of the day.
Well, 5-hour time difference between here and Hawaii, 8-hour time difference between here and the West Coast, 11-hour time difference between here and for April living in North Carolina.
Yeah, April's got to be feeling it for sure.
And there, April talking to fellow team rider Danny Ching, of course, the 404 team there.
Yeah, but one thing about Danny Ching, he's one of the older guys that definitely loves to help and coach and kind of take people under their wings. You know, such a good ambassador for paddling.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been busy with clinics the whole time he's been here in Japan, which is also a good thing for him. Gets to spread his 404 love, make a little extra cash,
yeah,
and come and race.
Of course, Danny Ching, a former world champion in outrigger canoe paddling, won the OC1 Molokai to Oahu one year, like Travis Grant. Travis having an injury. You're wondering why you haven't seen Travis this year on the APP World Tour. Well, during the McFarlane race on the 4th of July, an outrigger 6-man canoe race in Waikiki, the boat, what we call huied, flipped over. He busted a couple of ribs there steering the boat, and unfortunately not fit enough to compete this year on the APP World Tour. Hopefully we'll see him next year. But he's getting ready for the 6-man crossing for the Molokai coming up next month, the Molokai Hoi. So they're talking to Danny Ching here. And, of course, we had Anthony and Tristan just in our production booth looking at a replay. So there could be a technicality here.
I wonder if someone filed a protest, whether it was around a buoy or what it could be.
Okay, looking at Danny Ching's heat, that was the Connor Baxter, Martin Vitry, Lincoln Dews. Of course, Danny won that heat. The one that we were curious about was the Daniel Suyo, the heat before, quarterfinal heat number 2 between Hasuyo going under a different bridge. Okay, we're going to show you a replay here of what the officials were looking at when they came into our booth. This is, right, quarterfinal number 2, where Daniel Suyo, and you mentioned it, crossed over under a different bridge, and him and George Cristance.
Yeah, so are they still discussing, or what did they decide?
So Daniel did get second here. So I guess you can cross over on bridges, as long as you make the buoy turns and start-finish. It didn't matter whether you go under bridge 1, bridge 2.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think in hindsight, maybe they didn't. Maybe that would have been a rule, because it does get a little confusing. And if I'm George, you definitely weren't expecting him to come over and into your lane. But if you don't talk about it before the race, which I'm assuming it wasn't a rule in play, anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like a good heads up for Daniel to know that. And so that's very interesting how that played out. But I think that's the right call. If you don't mention it before the race, you can't disqualify him for something.
Now, we saw in the amateur races this morning, prior to the pro races here this afternoon, a lot of the amateurs were riding inflatable boards, and they were actually bumping a lot of rails, kind of veering one guy off course. And I was kind of concerned about that, and I talked to AV about it. And he's saying as long as he doesn't impede the other person's performance, we're not going to call it.
Yep, and we're definitely watching it a lot closer, since New York, since there was a couple discrepancies around the buoys.
Right.
So definitely want some clean racing, competitive racing, of course, but you cannot impede the other rider, run into him, knock them off their board, throw your board through their legs. All those things are no longer allowed.
So we're getting ready for the women's semifinal. There's Anthony Vela, our contest coordinator, director, and part-time commentator. But he's very busy with these sprints, and he does a great job. Not only this event, but events all around the world. He was a major factor in the Pan American Games in this sup racing.
Yeah, if Anthony Vela is the race director at an event, you know it's going to be solid. Anthony's definitely the best race director on the planet, in my opinion. And you know he's one of the veterans of this sport. Like Anthony to kind of think like all these races.
Well, retired lifeguard, has performance paddling at Dana Point, a coach, a mentor, gets the youth involved, and of course travels the world with the ISA, with the APP, and other individual events he's hired for. So one of the leaders and producers and directors of events. And like you said, you know, the athletes really respect somebody who's one of them. You know, we've seen that in the sport of surfing. Ian Carnes used to run the ASP, you know, a former competitor himself, a world champ. Seen Randy Rarick run, you know, the IPS and the World Tour with Fred Hemmings, former world champ Fred Hemmings. And so people really come in the same shoes as they compete. All right, we're getting ready for a lineup here. We can see white and blue, April in white, Chloe in blue. On the opposite side, we'll have red and yellow, Seychelle and Jade Howell in yellow. Top two make the grand finale. Third and fourth make the consolation final. So we'll have a grand final and a consolation final. So non-elimination round, but very valuable points will be placed here by the finishers 1 through 8 here from the semifinals to our finals. So each of these ladies and men in the semifinals will be racing 2 more times. And the goal is to be in that grand finale. So just about 4:30 here local time in Osaka. Welcome to the 2019 Osaka Sub Open, stop number 3 of the APP World Tour, being brought to you by C2C Sunglasses, Remax Japan, and being sanctioned by the ISA, the International Surfing Association, coming off a huge event here in Japan at Miyazaki at the 2019 ISA World Surfing Games. And congratulations to Peru's Sofia Milanovic and Brazil's Ítalo Ferreira for winning the gold medal in both the men's and women's event and qualifications to the Tokyo Summer Olympic Games just about 10, 11 months from right now. How exciting for the sport of surfing. I know you and your family, very heavy. Your dad, one of the pioneers in Southern California. He's got to feel happy that surfing's finally in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. It's like, you know, as long as I can remember being a kid, you're always like, oh, how come surfing's not in the Olympics? And you never truly believed it would happen. And, you know, they made such good inroads, ISA, and finally they have the time doing it. It's really fun to see Kelly Slater in the mix, you know, hanging out with Kolohe and everything, like, you know, as a team format, so to speak. And, yeah, it's just kind of cool.
Hey, Kelly, 5th overall at the ISA World Surfing Games, was in the last heat of the winners bracket, got 3rd place, and then got delegated into the last heat of the repechage round. But those guys had to surf, you know, 8 to 13 heats to make their finals, you know, and all hats to Fernando Aguirre and the ISA staff for producing such a world-class event. The ISA is getting ready for the World Juniors coming at Huntington Beach in October. Last week of October, November, beginning week of November, and the ISA World Juniors, a pioneer platform, world's future pros, and, you know, the Jordan Smiths, the Gabriel Mendinas, all came out of the ISA World Juniors, and pretty much every surfer you see on the WSL World Tour has been a product of ISA events, sanctioned events, ever since 1964 when Midget Farley won the first one in Manly Beach. So the ISA has been around for many, many years, and they've been the governing body of surfing and trying to be the governing body of all ocean water sports, as the ISA not only produce surfing events, but also SUP and prone paddleboard events at the World Championships. This year they have not delegated, and we're just waiting for word from the ISA when the World SUP and prone paddleboarding, and they also produce adaptive surfing events. World Longboard event was in Biarritz, France this past year, an exciting event. And Fernando Aguirre's not only got surfing into the Olympics, but he's trying to get longboarding. He's trying to get masters surfing. He's trying to get boogie boarding and SUP racing and prone paddleboard. He wants all aspects. You know, like when you see gymnastics and swimming, it's just not one event. There's many different events within that sport that are in the Olympics, and right now he's just got the foot in the door for surfing, but he wants to get all the other disciplines of water sports into the Olympics. And who knows, it may take the year 2050 or 2060. We may see, you know, longboarding and boogie boarding and body surfing into the Olympics, you know, with man-made pools around the world. Even Paris is thinking about having a man-made pool in Paris for the 2024 games. But here we go, first semifinal underway.
Yep, so we got to start with, looks like April Zilg in white out in front. We got Jade
Heusen
on the other side, but Seychelle's on the inside lane. Let's see what happens here. So Jade, look at that, Bo. There's a lot of action happening in that far buoy with the teammates, SIC teammates, but Jade comes away in front. So look at this, Bo.
The battle, what we said for these four-man feats, will be for second and third, and Jade Heusen has beaten earlier but not delegated the win in her first-round heat with Seychelle, but she has put in her mind that I can paddle faster than you, and here we go. Seychelle has now taken the lead over Jade Heusen.
Look at that. So this is Jade's third heat, so maybe feeling
and Seychelle goes down.
Now, look, Jade's going to get around, but she's not able to get around that quick. Look at Chloe. Chloe could play spoiler here.
And Seychelle has pretty much given up, so she knows she's in at least the consolation final. But here goes Chloe Walkerdine on the Infinity Blackfish. Can she make the upset here and go from third to second place?
Well, Chloe definitely saw the door open. She had her eyes right on that buoy turn, making her buoy turn. April being real careful around this buoy to not make any mistakes. But look at Jade and Chloe for second. So Jade's in front. Seychelle
made a power move on that last turn to overtake Jade, but on the final turn on the inside, she lost it and fell down and lost her momentum. And here we go, April. And we talked about how Jade and Chloe could play a factor in the world title. Well, thus, April's in the top four, and Seychelle's either 5th through 8th coming up in the consolation round. So April Zilg, first place, Jade Heusen second, Chloe Walkerdine third, Seychelle in fourth. Unofficial time, 1:40.
Yeah, and that first buoy was pretty radical. Like, Jade was out in front, but Seychelle had the inside line. So when they came around that buoy, Seychelle actually was closer on the inside and made up ground and beat Jade to the buoy on the way back. And then it was hard to see, but she lost her balance.
Well, we just got word from our race officials that Seychelle in red was given a 1-minute penalty on the buoy turn, that first buoy turn that crossed over with Jade Heusen in yellow.
Yeah. On this right here.
Yes.
Yeah, so that did cross my mind because her board was on top of hers, and that has been instated a rule. So let's see if they show a replay of that. Right there. There's where you're talking about. So see, when the boards cross over that.
Impeding the advancement of a competitor. But then she makes up ground here in red, but on this buoy turn, she lost her balance on her backside.
Yeah, and it was interesting right there because she just kind of fell for no reason, kept her paddle out of the water and just tipped over. And Jade was able to stay on her board. And there you have it. As we've seen, if you fall off your board, it's going to be really hard to make that.
Well, April Zilg, Jade Heusen in the grand finale, Chloe Walkerdine, Seychelle in the consolation final. They'll be battling 5th through 8th points placings. Here we go, semifinals. Number 2, another stacked heat. Fiona Wilde from Oregon in red, Annie Reichard from Maui in white, Yuka Sato from Tokyo in yellow, Lena Agaitis from Canada in blue. Wow, another stacked heat. Top 2 of this heat will meet April and Jade. bottom two, third, fourth will meet Seychelle and Chloe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they line up in this next heat. Fiona, Wilde, and Annie Reichard kind of have that quicker, high cadence, sprinty stroke, while Yuka Sato and Lena Agatis have more of that powerful stroke.
Let's go down contest site and Riverside and check in with you two.
Thank you, boys. April Zilg, congratulations. You won your semis.
Yeah.
What an unexpected race with a big upset. Seychelle is out. How do you feel before the final?
I feel good. You know, I go into these heats like this with no expectations. You kind of have to let go of the results because anything can happen. You can bobble on a turn like I did in New York for my finals, and just every step of the way, just do your best. You never know what's going to happen in the lanes next to you.
Well, keep it up for the final. Congratulations again.
Yay.
And back to you, boys.
All right, just taking a look. Congratulations, April. You know, we could have Seychelle. Let's say she finished 8th place. 8th place is 3,500 points. Let's say April wins the sprints. That's 10,000 points. That's a separation of 6,500 points. And right now, Seychelle has about a 6,000 point lead over April, so she could make up a huge ground if April can win the sprints. And Seychelle has a shocker in the consolation final. April could pull very close to world number one.
Well, just April making that final, you know, she's definitely going to close the gap somewhat. But you know, like you stated, there is a big gap to be made up if certain things go her way.
Yeah, 6,250 points separate Seychelle and April, and there's world number one of the men's, moving up from 7th place to world number one. Our world champion from last year, Lena Agaitis, there, coming up in our women's semifinal. Brought the whole family. Of course, she's a former world champion on the APP World Tour for the women. Lena Agaitis, the 2014 APP World Champion. Of course, we've had Annabelle Anderson, a two-time world champion in 2012, 2013. Candice Appleby won the APP World title in 2015. Fiona Wilde in 2016. Tareen Black in 2017. And Shea Fowdy in 2018. So you got two former APP World Champions right here, the 14 and 16 world champions side by side in this semifinal. So we're lining up for a start. Welcome to the 2019 Osaka Sub Open Day 1 competition. Men's and women's pro sprints today. Distance race coming up tomorrow. The 13-kilometer, 8-mile race will conclude our racing for this two-day format. And here we go. Good, clean start. We see Fiona with the advantage. We see Annie Reichard with the advantage over Yuka Sato in yellow. And look at the reverb bouncing off the walls onto the bridges and the side chop.
Yeah, and Annie Reichard just flying on the outside, and White gets around that buoy first. So Fiona and Lena rubbing rails just a little bit, but that is completely legal right there. You cannot have the board cross over the deck. So nice, clean, competitive racing right there.
So Lena will have the inside edge here. Let's see how it plays a factor. Fiona had the inside edge on that first buoy turn. Annie Reichard from Maui with a commanding lead, and here we go. And then look at Lena pushing, kind of steering Fiona wide. And Lena with the inside, and they got kind of hung up on that buoy turn.
They got hung up for sure. They got stuck a little bit, but that gave Yuka Sato a chance to catch up. So I want to say Yuka's just ahead of these two.
And the crowd cheering for the local Japanese competitor from Tokyo, even though she's 6 hours away from home, but she's the fan favorite here. Annie Reichard with a commanding lead. Who will have second? Right now, Lena Agaitis, I would say second place right now. Yuka Sato third. Fiona Wilde fourth. And look at Annie Reichard coming off an amazing New York sprint finish. She was second place in the sprints in New York, a 6th place in the distance, and she'll be coasting into a win here. Unofficial 141, Lena Agaitis will take 2nd, Yuka Sato 3rd, and Fiona Wilde, the former world champ, in 4th. What an exciting race this was. So the final is set. April Zilg, Jade Heusen, Annie Reichard, and Lena Agaitis. And here's your heat recap. And it all came down on this buoy turn between Fiona. She had the inside maneuver, but good clean turn there for Lena Agaitis. But then Lena had the inside on this one, but they got hung up here, a little off balance for both of them. And no room for Lena to put her paddle in the water.
Yeah, if your paddle's not in the water, you're not going nowhere. But you see right here, she was able to get back in front of Fiona for this final buoy turn, and she just held off Yuka. You could see Yuka right there have a little bit of gain on her, but just ran out of runway. So we'll see Yuka in the consolation final, but congrats to Annie and Lena.
And here are the official results. Annie and Lena in the grand finale. Yuka and Fiona in the consolation final. They'll be battling for 5th and 6th, but Annie Reichard, back-to-back finals, New York and Osaka in the same month.
Yep, and Annie quietly going to work.
Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu.
Yep.
Annie, you ruled in that semi-final from start to finish. How did it go?
It felt really good. You know, I've been experimenting with different boards from dugouts to flat decks, and I think I've kind of found the one that really clicked in that last heat. My goal is to go really strong from the start just so I could kind of get those first buoy turns in. And, you know, I kind of played my cards right where I kind of just got in a rhythm and I got that. And it just felt really good from there on out. Definitely a lot of work, but I'm excited for the final.
Yeah, you looking forward to it?
I'm really looking forward to it. It's a tough group of girls, but it's going to be fun.
And so are we. Back to you, boys.
All right, congratulations. Annie, she's here traveling with her mother, and they've been going to all the sites here down into the shopping districts and into the downtown area, and they're going to take a side trip to Kyoto right after this and go to the Deer Park in Nara and see the castles and really experience what Japan has to offer.
Yeah, I guess they're going to stay another 5 days after this whole thing's over, and I wish we could do that, Bo, but I got to go right back home. So my first time to Japan, I'm not really going to have much time to really dive into it, but we've got some good food and good beer so far. So
Yeah, I kidnapped you last night and took you on a tour. And there we go, semifinal number 1, Arthur Arukin, Rai Taguchi, the surprise of this event, Casper Stein Fath, the winner of the New York Sprints, and Daniel Hosulio. Watch out for Daniel. But I'm really impressed with Rai Taguchi. He'll be in the white jersey. He'll be the spoiler in this heat like Jade Heusen was in the women's semifinals.
Yeah, him and Jade Heusen definitely, raising some eyebrows this event. The young bucks basically making a statement.
And there's the Viking coming off a big win in New York, moving up into the rankings. Casper Stein Fath moving up to number 4. He was in 9th place after London, winning the New York Sprints, moving all the way up to number 1. Did not even do the London distance race, and he's top 4 in the world. But he did do the New York distance race. Casper was 9th place in the Lower Manhattan distance race. And how exciting was that for these guys to paddle around Ellis Island and around the Statue of Liberty in Lower Manhattan, and different race from this year, from last year, making it a lot safer from the boat traffic that they incurred last year. But Casper with a new focus. He's got the Maliko board here in the Osaka race from Nash. He psychs himself up, doesn't he? He's like a boxer.
Look at these guys aren't even sitting down yet.
Yeah, Arthur.
Casper was just psyching up. But Casper, the only 12-6 in the field, Bo.
Yeah.
And
there's Rai Taguchi. How exciting would Japan be if Rai Taguchi wins the Osaka Sprints?
Well, look how stoked he was. You saw the contrast of Casper's face versus Rye's. Casper's serious. Rye had a smile ear to ear.
Yeah. There's half of the Sup Bros. Daniel Sulio, his brother Bruno, was scheduled to do this event, but just coming off the 11-city European win. Another win under his belt and another race in Italy. Daniel said his brother's on an 11-city hangover tour, paddling almost like 30 miles 4 or 5 days in a row. How brutal is that?
It's such a brutal race. They go through a bunch of different weather patterns. It's cold, it's raining, it's windy. It's a race that has never appealed to me.
And one of your team riders at Delgado is interested in paddling it next year.
Yeah, I think it's one of those bucket listers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if I had the opportunity, I think it'd be really fun to do, but it's not top on my list to go do that. So everybody who finishes that race, I mean, hats off to you. That's a grind.
So what we're waiting for here is some of these tour boats coming by, and they do create some wakes. So they're waiting for these boats to go through and these scheduled tours. So we've got plenty of time here. So we're going to let these tour boats go by. And they're probably going, stop, let's watch the race.
Yeah, and that boat actually is going slower. I saw it before, and there's big old wake off the back. So they obviously know what they're doing.
Yeah, we saw Danny Ching riding the wake of that boat earlier during the warm-ups. Our hats off to our local Japanese Water Patrol. I know Terry Ahui from the Hawaiian Water Patrol and the North Shore Lifeguards helps train the Japanese lifeguards here as they're gearing up for the Tokyo Olympics. And in fact, retired lifeguard Edmund Pastana's here working this APP event. He's going to team up with Uncle Terry and the Japanese Water Patrol and Water Safety gearing up for their big event coming up in Chiba, Japan next year for the Tokyo Olympics. So Japanese lifeguards hailing to the Hawaii lifeguards, the inventors of the jet ski rescues with Terry Ahui and Brian Kealana and company. And in fact, Terry had invited the Japanese lifeguards during the Pipe Masters last year to help train them at one of the most prestigious events in the world, the Billabong Pipe Masters. Their part because Hawaii and Japan have very close connection. The camaraderie and lifeguards want to make sure the Japanese are well prepared for maybe a month.
That'd be amazing, right? The timing of surfing in the Olympics for the first time with incredible waves.
Well, the ISA had some typhoon surf during the World Surfing Games last week.
Yeah, so they've had some good luck. So hopefully they can keep that luck rolling into the Olympics. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and the ISA, one of the sanctioning bodies here for not only water sports in the Olympics, but also here at the APP World Tour. And a good, clean start here. Quick stance for Casper Stein Fath. Oh, and look at the other side.
Yep, those guys are neck and neck on the far side. Arukin and the youngster.
Rai Taguchi. So here we go. Casper Stein Fath. Heel side turn, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, and he's around. Taguchi getting caught up with Arukin. And now that gives Daniel Hosulio a chance to move from 4th to 2nd place.
And that's what we're seeing here with these 4-man formats. You know, those guys were to the buoy first before Daniel, but, you know, they end up wrestling around with each other, and Daniel gets a little jump on them. So Arthur, a little bit of separation from Taguchi here. Let's see if they play a little more friendly around this buoy.
Okay, Casper, clean turn. The world champ in red, Arthur Arukin, the wild card right here, Rai Taguchi. He needs to make up some ground. He's been the surprise of the event, but now he got up against the world's best in the semifinals. You got ISA former world champion in the sprints and the technical race here. In yellow, Casper Stein Fath in the lead. Arthur Arukin, the APP world champion from last year and leading in this year. Daniel Hosulio still in the mix with Arthur Arukin. Here they come on the final stretch, 1:10 into this race.
Yeah, so this is the race you got to watch right now. Casper's going to win this heat, but it's going to come to 2nd place. Let's see if Daniel crosses the bridge again.
No,
he's not.
He's going to stay on the same side. So here we go unofficially in a time of 1:27. Casper Stein Fath first, Arthur Arukin, world champion in 2nd, Daniel Hosulio in 3rd, and Rai Taguchi right there in the mix in 4th place. And our hats off to Rai. He was the spoiler in this heat, and he gave every shot to be the spoiler, but he was up against the world's best. So Casper 1, Arthur 2 into the grand finale. But we're going to see Rye and Daniel again coming up in the consolation final. And what a great start for all four of these guys.
Yeah, so Casper, you can see him with that staggered goofy foot stance. So quick around these buoys. He just ran away with this thing. But what with Arthur, and it came down to this final leg right here, and Arthur just able to edge forward of a Fouslo, perhaps with a little bit of cleaner water without being behind someone's draft in that far lane. So Casper and Arthur Rukin will be our first finalists.
So there are the results, and look how close it was. 126, 129, 132, 133, right 4 seconds behind, advancing into the grand finale. But we're going to see him race one more time again. But world number 1, world number 4 are in the sprint final between Artur and Casper. And here we go. You thought that heat was stacked. Here we go. From Maui, in white, Connor Baxter. Danny Ching from California in red. Noik Gerrard from New Caledonia in yellow. And Enzo Bennett from Tahiti will be in blue. So Danny and Enzo on the left. And it will be Connor and Noik on the right. Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu and Casper.
Congratulations, Casper. That was a great demonstration of power and dominance in that semi-final. Is that what we're supposed to expect in the final?
Oh, you can expect some fireworks in the final. I feel every single heat is like a final. You had total wild card with Rai right there, Japan's finest up and coming. And, you know, it's a sprint course, but it feels really long. I feel pretty dead, so try to save a little bit of energy so you can have a show in the final.
Well, good luck to the Danish Viking for the final. And back to you, boys.
All right, congratulations, Casper. Thank you, Matu. And, you know, one guy who was kind of upset that the buoys weren't set and we were scheduled for a 1 o'clock start was Casper Stein Fath. He had paced himself, timed himself for a 1 o'clock start, and that kind of threw him off when we started about 2:30 this afternoon.
Yeah, when you have a delayed start, or you know, you start from a different time that you're expected to, everything kind of gets thrown off. You know, they probably eat at a certain time before the race. They got their hydration figured out, their nutrition all ramped up to start at, you know, that start time. So obviously if it ends later, now it's kind of out of whack. You know, do I got to eat something else? Do I have to take a gel now? You know, and that all comes into play with your preparation. So yeah, when it doesn't start on time, I mean, none of us do, but very experienced, and I'm sure you know.
Well, our boat is rocking. We can see the start and arc is rocking from that tour boat that went by about 5 minutes ago. Yeah. So they're waiting for this calmness to come down, and at least here on the Dojima River is not as much traffic as we saw on the Hudson in New York and the Thames over in London.
Yeah, the traffic in those rivers are unreal.
Out of control. Yeah, so at least we can, you know, there's fewer boats here on the Dojima River, so we're taking the time to smooth out the waters. We got lots of time, plenty of time to finish up. Coming up next, our women's consolation final, and here we go. And off with a quick start, no surprise, Connor Baxter.
Yeah, Connor got up real quick. He knows he's got to try to get out in front because Noik's got the inside line. On the other side, Danny Ching right out in front of Enzo. So let's see if Connor's able to.
Yes.
He sneaks in, and look at that buoy.
He is the best buoy turner in the world of SUP.
That was probably the fastest buoy turn we've seen all day. Danny Ching right there, too. I love it. Noik going to hop on his draft. So he's still very well in the mix. Enzo kind of, he's still there too as well. So this is a close one right here. So it looks like Danny's actually going to beat Connor to the buoy.
They're side by side. Here we go with the better buoy turn. That is Connor Baxter. And Enzo right on the tail of Danny Ching.
Yeah, you can see Enzo's got to correct. He didn't quite finish off the buoy turn, so he had to start on an angle to paddle again. And that just lets Danny Ching pull away from him even more.
1 minute into this race, just about 25 seconds remaining. Here we go on the last turn. Baxter with just about a half board length. And look at Danny, smooth, clean turn. The battle for third and second is far apart. So it's going to be Connor Baxter, Danny Ching in the final. And no hiccups here. We've seen Connor Baxter earlier this year, both in London and in New York, falling right prior to the semifinals. And this time he does not. So unofficially, 125 for Danny Ching with the win. Excuse me, Connor Baxter with the win. Danny Ching in second place. So who was third in that? Was that?
That was Noik.
Noik, so he'll take third and Enzo fourth. So Noik will be teaming up with Ryan Daniel along with Enzo coming up in the Consolation Men's Final.
And look at Connor. He spent.
Coming into this race, being number 6 in the world is not acceptable. He's a three-time APP world champion.
Yep, and Connor did a really good job getting out in front, and he went for it on the buoy turn. Like, that was the most aggressive buoy turn we've seen him do all day. Nailed it. Able to get the whole shot. And then him and Danny just went to work, stroke for stroke, all the way to the end.
Well, this is an all-star final. Casper Stein Fath, Artur Arukin, Connor Baxter, Danny Ching.
It's a solid one.
That's a Hall of Fame of SUP racing. In our consolation final, you got Daniel Heusen, Rai Taguchi, Noik Gerrard, and Enzo Bennett. So here are the results. Connor, 122.46. So that's got to be one of the fastest we've seen all day. Danny Ching right there at third and Enzo in fourth.
Yep, so got to be stoked for Danny Ching. One of the older guys, maybe thought a little bit past in these sprints.
Well, let's go down Riverside and check in with our champion there, Connor Baxter and Matul. Take it away, guys.
Congratulations, Connor. Danny beat you in the quarter. You beat him in the semi. And the other race within the race was the fight with Noik Gayu. How did it go for you?
That was a hard one. He had pole position. Knowing that going into it, I knew I had to work extra hard and make my move in that first leg. Otherwise, I would be behind him, kind of caught up in that chop, and it'd be a race for second or third. So I went all out, had the upper hand. I'm on a 12.6, so it was popping up easy. Have to use a little extra energy to keep it up there, but feeling good. I think we'll have a handful of 12.6s in the final. And go Dads, me and Danny going for it.
Well, good luck for the final. Over to you, Bo and Dave.
All right, congratulations, Connor. And you called it. He went all out on that heat. You know, a 7th place showing in the sprints in London, a 4th place showing in New York. He's on a mission to win Osaka Sprints.
And he's looking good, man. Like, Connor's looking solid, confident, and, a confident Connor Baxter is a scary Connor Baxter.
Okay, here we go. 4 finals, 2 consolation finals for men and women, and 2 grand finale finals for men and women. First up, our women's consolation final. Chloe Walker-Dean in red, Seychelle will be in white, Yuka Sato yellow, Fiona Wilde in blue. It looks like Fiona and Seychelle. We just saw Danny Ching just pass by over in the river by our broadcast boat, and he's got his Camelback water back, so he's rehydrating right now, getting ready for the final.
Yeah, Danny's got to be feeling good, man. I was talking to him earlier, and, he kind of take the same approach as April, like, not really, thinking about the results. And, I'm not going to say he surprised himself, but just talking to him, he definitely wasn't expecting to, Wick one of the favorites at this point.
Well, of course, he's in the early years of the Battle of the Paddle, the Super Bowl of SUP racing, which turned into the Pacific Paddle Games. And unfortunately, this year there's no PPG, and PPG was going to be part of the APP World Tour this year as it was last year. And unfortunately, not a showing at Dana Point this year. So hopefully it'll be back on tour and back on the lineup for 2020 coming up next year. But Danny, one of the legends of our sport, and so great to see him back in action and here in Osaka. But here we go, Dave. We've got the first of 4 finals here, the Consolation Women's Final. And valuable points here. Seychelle, she knows April's going to gain some points on her for that world title. She's got to go all out and get 5th place here and get first in this heat, get 5th overall.
Absolutely, and here they go.
And Seychelle with just a nose length lead over Fiona. Fiona, remember, had the inside on her last semifinal. She's now on the outside on this buoy turn. And Yuka Sato leading on the other side of Chloe Walkerdine. So here we go. Need all clean turns from all 4 of these competitors. We see Seychelle successful, Yuka, Fiona, and Chloe successful on their first turns.
Yep, all the ladies looking pretty solid after that first leg of this sprint consolation final. But Seychelle kind of jumping out in front. She's got a good lead. Let's see how good she could execute this second buoy turn. Nice and clean. Yuka the same. We got Chloe Walkerdine right behind her.
Chloe front side, toe side, tail turn. And here we go. Seychelle out in the lead. Chasing down an APP world title. And right now she's going to add some valuable points in this consolation final. And she's had a great race here.
Yeah, I'm thinking Seychelle would have loved to have this perfect run she's having right now in that semi. But this consolation final, she knows she's going for points. And she's looking strong. Yuka's second still.
And Yuka's been comfortably in 5th place during this whole year. She had a 5th place at the London sprints and a 7th place in the New York sprints. And there's Seychelle coming across the line, unofficially 141, 1st place. Yuka Sato 2nd. We're going to have Fiona Wilde 3rd, Chloe Walkerdine in 4th. So that means 5th overall, Seychelle, 6th overall, Yuka, 7th overall, Fiona, and 8th overall will be Chloe Walkerdine. So valuable points for the world title being handed out here in Osaka, Japan. Yeah, and Yuka clapping. She has the biggest smile, doesn't she?
Yuka's pretty stoked. She's always having a good time. Definitely one of the friendliest paddlers I've ever met.
And she's so great with the kids around here too.
Yeah, she's just always stoked and really involved, and definitely, one of the faces of Japan paddling.
Okay, men's consolation final. These guys have got a quick turnaround. Here's the results of the women's. So 1st place, Seychelle, 5th overall. Yuka 2nd place in this consolation final, 6th place overall. Fiona, she competes both on the surfing side of the APP World Tour, 3rd place. So she'll have 7th place overall. Chloe Walkerdine, 4th place in that consolation final, 8th place overall here at the Osaka Sprints. Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu and Seychelle.
Well, congratulations on winning that consolation final.
Yeah.
Scoring some important points for the world rankings at the end of that circuit. How does it feel? It feels certainly very upsetting for us to not see you in the final. How do you feel right now?
Yeah, the consolation final, I'm glad that I got 5th, and that's still a really good result, but I really messed up in the semis, and that's disappointing. But that's racing, and some days you have a good heat, and some days it just takes one little mistake, and so today was not my day, but I'm still happy with 5th, and I feel good for tomorrow, so hopefully I'll have some fighting strength going into tomorrow. So.
Absolutely. Do you have any predictions for the final?
For this final now?
Women's final?
Oh, well, probably April, although I'm really hoping my teammate Jade Heusen can snuff her out. And then, but Annie's been looking quick, and she's good on the turns. And I mean, that's the thing about the level of paddling right now is like any one of them could do it. So
yeah,
it'll be exciting. We'll see in a few minutes.
And we look forward to it. Back to you, boys. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. She wants April to finish actually 4th.
Well, in a perfect world,
yeah, but
not that she doesn't wish any bad things on April.
Yeah.
But for points wise, that would be her best case scenario.
Okay, here we go. Men's consolation final. Daniel Hosulio from Hungary will be in red. Rai Taguchi from Japan. The surprise of this whole event in white. Noik Gerrard from New Caledonia in yellow, and in the blue jersey, Enzo Bennett from Tahiti. So valuable points for the world title, especially for Noik coming into this event. World number 3, losing world number 1 after London. So a little hiccup there. All right, Anthony Vela saying, calm down, guys, calm down. Be patient now. Giving the commands. Trying to hold these guys off keel here. And there we go, up quickly. Noik on the first turn. Backside. Like you said, every turn is backside. Heel side. And a cross up, Daniel impeding the progress there and going down on Rai Taguchi.
Yeah, that was interesting because Daniel had his board up, and I think mid-turn he realized if that board lands on the deck, he'll get penalized. So he held it there as long as he could before he dropped it, and the result was it made him fall. And Noik just blasting out of that buoy turn with Enzo with him right behind him. So it's 1 and 2.
On the left-hand side, and here we go. So Noik with a commanding lead. Enzo Bennett in second. You can see Rai Taguchi in third. Daniel Hosulio with a hiccup in fourth. He'll probably incur a 1-minute penalty. And here we go, Noik. You know, he was world number 1 after the London. It was the London overall winner, but had a disappointing showing in New York. But he can regain the championship here. But he knows Arthur is already into that grand finale. And coasting in with a win here, 127 unofficially. Noik takes first. Enzo second. Rai Taguchi third. And Daniel Hosulio in fourth. 127 unofficially. So overall, that'll be 5th place for Noik, 6th place for Enzo. Ryan Taguchi, 7th place, and Daniel Hosulio, 8th place overall in the Osaka Sprints. There you go, Sam. Sorry, Rai. You got me. And what a start. And we're going to see that buoy turn coming up here.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, good on Daniel because I think, you know, exactly what happened. He realized. So watch it. He sees it right there.
He's blocking him.
The board up because he does not want it to land on his board, but in doing so, it blocks him.
Yeah, impeding the progress there, and then pretty much he fell off. He knew his race was over. And this was the last lap coming in, and Noik showing us great style there. Noik winning the London Sprints. Remember that. He was the winner of the London Sprints. But he wins the consolation round here, so he takes 5th overall, the 126.94 time. Enzo from Tahiti in second. Rai Taguchi. Love to see this guy. More APP events in the future.
Yeah, that was really fun to watch Rai. And, you know, unfortunately for him, got stuck behind Daniel's board. Who knows what would have happened if he could have got around that buoy clean.
Okay, so where's Noik? He gets 5,000 points here for the London Sprints. We're going to try to get you updated after the sprints and all this. So, all right, 2 more heats. But before we get to that, let's go down to check in with Matu and Noik, our heat winner from the Consolation Men's Round.
Thank you, guys. Noik, well, congratulations on winning that consolation final. I guess today you expected a different result.
Yeah, of course I expected another result, but it's been a cool race. I've been stuck behind Kona in the semi-finals, but you know it's a game, so I just tried to do something on this consolation finals, and it worked. So kind of happy for this race.
Yeah, well, you're 5th in the sprints today, and now we're going to have our 2 big finals. Woo!
All right, thanks so much, Matu, and congratulations, Noik. And Arthur's going to just grind out even more points away from Noik. But here we go, our women's final. And this one is stacked with the women's final. April Zilg in red, Jade Heusen in white, Annie Reichard in yellow, and Lena Agaitis in blue. Got a couple of more boats passing by here. There's the Mary Green. So we'll probably have some boat wake after this. All right, Daniel, 4th place. That'll be 8th overall. That'll 3,500 points. So let's add that to Daniel. All right.
I like how April still runs the headphones and the music,
Yeah.
even these 1.5 minute races.
Do you think in the actual race she has music on and she turns it off?
I don't know. Maybe
We'll
she
have to
keeps
find
it on
out.
there. Well, maybe she doesn't, so she could hear the horn. I guess I don't know.
Okay. Is she an Itzel girl? She listening to reggae? Or is she AC/DC or from North Carolina, Southern Rock, some Leonard Skinner, you know?
We got to start doing interviews about that 'cause I'm not sure.
Oh, she's taking them off now, yeah. So she pumps herself up. All right. Game on, game off. All right. And how about Annie Reichard? Back-to-back sprint finals. She's been a standout.
Yeah, and I love it. She's just so unassuming. You know, she's just sitting down, cruising. Everyone else is sprinting, listening to stretching, listening to music. Getting fired up. She's just kind of casual, sitting there.
And Annie's had a great transition coming from the Nash equipment to the NSPs.
Yeah, I mean, they're both top brands. They've been around a while, and a lot of board companies making fast boards, so I'm sure it probably wasn't that hard for her, but it always takes time to get used to new theories in board design, and yeah, she's transitioned quite easily.
All right, we transition. 2 more races remaining. Women's final, men's final. Top 4 valuable points for a world championship for the APP world title for 2019, and we are getting ready for a start. Jade and Annie on the far side, Lena and April on the near side.
These are such good matchups too.
Yes.
Annie and Jade are more quicker, kind of high cadence, while the other side, April and Lena, have more of that slower, powerful, smooth stroke.
A little slow there for April, but she has the advantage over Lena, but Lena has the power stroke. She'll make up some ground. She's on the dugouts and overboard. And here we go. Looks like Annie Reichardt's got the lead over Jade Heusen on the far side. April on the inside. She's got the inside turn. She's taking a wide turn. Very smart. Lena right on her tail, and we've got a close race. It looks like Annie Reichard and April 1-2, side by side.
Yep, we got a close battle here. I think Jade's the only one who had to paddle in the repechage, so she's had one extra heat out of all these women here. So April in the red, closest to us. She's going to hit this buoy. Annie Reichard in yellow on the other side. Looks like April's just ahead of Annie.
Oh, and she makes a clean turn.
Yeah, Annie's having kind of a slower turn where Jade's able to kind of catch up to her, but has to take her paddle out of the water and let her go by.
Where's Lena? There she is, coming into screen. Even though these sprint races are like a minute and a half, these are exhausting races for these ladies. Like you said, this is Jade's 4th race of the day, 3rd race of the day for the other 3.
And look, April Zilg is one buoy turn away from winning this race. Annie gets around the buoy a little bit faster than April.
But here comes Lena Agaitis, and she's got that power stroke to come in hard. April Zilg, the New York distance winner, and looks like the Osaka sprint winner has gone back-to-back. Boom. 141, and officially Annie Reichard in second. She goes back-to-back in second places in New York and Osaka. Lena Agaitis in 3rd place, and 4th place Jade Heusen. What a huge win and valuable points for April. And look, who's the first one to congratulate her? Danny Ching.
Yeah, what an awesome race for April. Annie came out firing and made just a couple little mistakes on the buoy turns just to be that much slower around them. April able to take advantage of that. was the strongest paddler that last stretch. And here's a recap of this final.
And what a great start by all 4 of these ladies.
Yeah, you'll see April just ahead of Annie. But right here, Annie takes this turn a little longer, got bobbled, and just that little bobble was enough to give April that space and separation to finish this sprint out in first. Annie did a really good job holding off Lena Agaitis, who made a good surge towards the end. And Jade Heusen making the final, just running out of gas, finishing in 4th.
Well, April Zilg with 10,000 points has now put Seychelle on call right now, because right now Seychelle has a lead, 40,750. April has narrowed it down to 39,500, so 1,250 now separate, where we were talking 4,000 points prior to the sprint finals.
Yeah, so she made some ground heading into day 2 of the distance race tomorrow, so we'll see how that shakes up as far as the points go.
So right now, Fiona Wilde still holding down 3rd place. Annie Reichard still holding down 4th place. Lena Agaitis will move up with her performance here in the final. And here we go. What an all-star final here for Osaka in the men's sprint. Kasper Stein Fath from Denmark in red. Our world champion, world leader for 2019, Arthur Arukin from France in white. Connor Baxter from Maui, the 3-time APP world champion in yellow. And the legend, Danny Ching from California in blue. He could be the spoiler in this heat. I mean, any one of these 4 guys can win this final.
For sure, and it's going to be interesting to watch. Danny hasn't been on this side of the river. He's always been on that far side. So
and same with Connor.
Yeah,
Connor's
Connor
usually been on the near side. Now he's on the far side. So where's Kasper? I think Kasper's on the far side.
I think Kasper's actually with Danny on this
side.
And he has the inside lane, and he's goofy foot. So Kasper, I would say, has the slight advantage.
Kasper and Danny side by side. That's going to be interesting to watch.
For sure.
They've been 2 of the fastest paddlers of this whole event.
Yeah, and remember, Kasper's on that 12'6", so he's on the shortest board in the field to ride that board over a 14-footer.
But this race will be over in 90 seconds, in under 90 seconds.
Yep, and it's proven that, the 12'6" been.
Let's go down Riverside and check in with our new
Thank
champion.
You guys, I'm with the big champion of the day, April Zilg, her 2nd APP World Tour victory here in Japan. How do you feel?
I feel tired. That was really, really hard. The semis were incredibly challenging. The finals just as hard. I played a lot of strategy. I decided to run on my non-dominant turning side because the current in the river is going that way, very strong. The turns, the current helped push me around the turns versus if I lined up on the right with my priority, I would have had to turn into the current, which I think would have been slower. And so I tried to use the river and my knowledge of water dynamics to make a smart decision, and I think it played out well.
Wow, well done. So a lot of thinking in today's race. What about tomorrow in the long distance? Are you calculating the whole course and strategy as well?
You know it. I mean, I started out as a physics major. What better to do with that, education than paddleboard?
Right, your 2nd win. That sounds like you're getting used to those victories.
Oh, goodness, never.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now it's the men's final.
I can't wait to
so
watch.
We're going to
go, Danny.
Go back to the boys.
Congratulations, April, coming off a New York distance race win, back-to-back wins. We told you right before that final that there were over 6,000 points separating 1st and 2nd. April got 10,000 points. Seychelle got 5,000 points. So that's how much points she gained from 1st to 5th place between April and Seychelle. And now, heading into tomorrow's distance race, if April is able to do better than Seychelle, April could come out as world number 1 going into the final event in Paris. We're just throwing out all these variables right now.
Yeah, no, and April's in the zone. April is paddling so well right now. I'm stoked for her because I know she's put in a lot of time. She's been healthy, and it's rad to see people put in the work and have the results pay off.
All right, another boat going by, so we're going to have a bit more of a delay here, but there we go. There's the pair up on the far side. Connor Baxter from Maui, Arthur Rukin from France. And on the near side, the Viking in red, the top seed, Casper Stein Fath, and the legend in blue, Danny Ching from California. All right, who's your pick?
It's hard not to vote, to choose Casper. He's been the quickest out of the gates on that 12-6. He's got a good spot in the lanes. It favors his front side turn. So look for Casper to get out of the hole quick, make a quick turn on that 12-6, and just accelerate out of that thing. So,
but I think Connor's got an advantage on the far side too. But you know what? I can see Danny Ching winning this event.
I would like to see Danny Ching win just because it's kind of fun, I would think, he's probably not favored to win this final.
He's got nothing to lose.
He's got nothing to lose, and that makes him even that much more dangerous. So,
and of course these guys, and of course Casper, going for the overall sprint world championship, and he's in the top 4 heading into this final right now. Not even doing the London distance race. We'll see if that 12-6 Maliko Nash plays an advantage over the other 3 competitors here in the final. It's been working out great for him. So again, we're waiting for this boat wake to kind of calm itself down to give these guys some extra time, smooth, clean water. Last thing you want is just a unvariable boat wake just to upset this grand finale.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, the final heat of the day. Got to make sure everything is just perfect.
Well, we've seen April close down the gap here for the World Championship. Can Casper, go back-to-back sprint wins and close down, Arthur Rukin, who's number 1, who's also in this final? Arthur's just going to gain some more points over Michael Booth, who's world number 2 right now. World number 3, Noik. We saw him win the consolation final, so he's got some points here. But Arthur's really going to take a good lead, whatever place he comes out with this final.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Arthur's just, he stayed so consistent, and he's deadly in this sprint as well. So it looks like they're giving a nice introduction to the finalists for the crowd here.
Yeah, they're just introducing Arthur Rukin. So all 4 of these guys, world champions in their careers in SUP racing here in this Osaka Sprint Final.
It's the best of the best in the final here, Bo.
Look at the Viking. I like his preparation. He really psychs himself up. And Danny's, he's got some distance on him, so it'll be interesting to see how this first sprint, look how he's practicing.
Yep.
There's definitely a technique here on this sit down. I know the guys don't like it, but it is the fairest way. Otherwise, these guys would just keep creeping, and getting across the line before the start.
Yeah, but I think the more and more we do these sit-down starts, the guys are learning to like it. I think before, because no one ever practiced that in the past, so it's just hard to do something, out of nowhere. But now they know what to expect, and I think guys would way rather have a fair start. And this is the best way to do that.
I'd like to thank our sponsors here at the 2019 Osaka Sub Open. C2C Sunglasses, Remax Japan, the International Surfing Association. Congratulations to the ISA pulling off one of the most exciting surfing events here in Japan at Miyazaki just last week. 2019 ISA World Surfing Games. Congratulations to Sofia Milanovic and Italo Ferreira taking gold medals there. And ISA has got their World Juniors coming up at Huntington Beach at the end of October, early November. So make sure you check them out on the webcast and the broadcast for that. So more exciting ISA events. Go check out isasurf.org for more information of their tour events as they gear up for the Tokyo edition and the Olympic Games and the Summer Olympics coming up in August. And the crowd's really getting excited here. There's actually a beer garden to the right of our tour. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's been open early, too.
I know. We haven't even been in there yet.
Well, I know we're going right after this, though. And
Garage 39?
we'll hit that spot, too. We don't just only hit one.
How about the craft ape? The yellow.
Yeah, was it the yellow ape?
The yellow ape craft.
Ape craft, yep. I like
That place
spot.
was as big as our bedroom. But there's April in her pink bikini top. The New York distance champion, and now the Osaka sprint champion. All right, Dave, I think we're getting ready for a start now. The waters are kind of calm. We're on a boat, too, so our rocking and rolling has calmed down. So we know the rocking and rolling. Taking a look at the finish arc, still a little movement there. And we are just seconds away. Look at Connor, too. He's in a very lean stance. Danny's leaning. Arthur's leaning. And there we go. Danny with a quick up stance. Casper with the faster paddle. And look at Connor Baxter on the explosion of his start in yellow. Casper with the inside. He's going to have the advantage on the first turn. And it'll be on his heel side. Here he goes, slowing down 1, 2, 3. And Connor getting hung up a little bit there. Here comes Danny Ching.
Yeah, so as expected, Casper Stein Fath out of the hole real quick, which led to that quick buoy turn, but he's kind of just flying right now. Connor, second place as well on the far side. Now here goes Casper's second buoy turn. Connor's going to make his. Danny right on his heels. Arthur's still in as well.
Oh, and he makes a clean turn and does not clip Connor Baxter. And here comes Danny Ching in second place.
Yeah, this is where you got to look for that 14 to have a little bit of advantage in these straightaways. So Danny getting back up to Casper.
And the bird gets in and all the shoulders, the arms, the triceps.
On those buoys. Edged out on the side right there. So it looks like Casper's going to win this, and Danny's going to get second quite easily. Wow, Bo, what a final.
125 unofficially. Casper Stein Fath with back-to-back sprint wins. The Viking. And Danny Ching, second place. Connor Baxter, third. And Arthur Arukin in fourth place. Wow, what an exciting final.
That was insane. And congratulations to Casper, the sprint specialist, the 12-6. The Viking reigning supreme here in Japan. Danny Ching, what a day for him. And watch this replay.
What a quick start. Clean buoy turns here. Connor a little held up on the front side turn.
Yeah, and you watch Danny, he was just calm, cool, and collected around that buoy. But look at him right here. Boom, really aggressive, and right back on Casper's tail for this final stretch. And you saw Connor just get a little bit hung up at the buoy. He has a little wobble here, too. And the guys in the close lane just ran away with it in the end. So Casper Stein Fath, first pace. Danny Ching in second. Connor Baxter third. Arthur Arukin in fourth. What a final.
Okay, we're crunching the numbers here. Got to find out what's going on here with ninth place with 3,000 points for Michael Booth. So we'll put that in here. And there's your official results. Casper Stein Fath, back-to-back New York, Osaka sprint champion. Danny Ching second, Connor Baxter third, Arthur Arukin in fourth place. Let's go down Riverside and check in with Matu and a very happy Casper Stein Fath.
Okay.
Right, I'm with Casper Stein Fath, the big champion of the day. Congratulations, Casper. Second win in a row in the APP World Tour. Take us through your race, your final.
Oh, my final was my best heat of the day. I actually finally felt a little bit relaxed. I was so nervous and stressed before all my other heats, and just making the final made me relax so much. The semi was the worst one. So the final was just like pure fun.
Right, at this stage we are kind of disappointed that you don't take long distances more seriously because you're scoring so many points in the sprints. Are you going to play differently tomorrow in the long distance?
If I focus more on the distance, I don't think I'd be getting the wins today. So it was a decision I made earlier this season with my trainer Magnus from Crosswater to focus on sprints. That's what I love. It's what I'm passionate about. I'll let the distance specialists and the guys do that tomorrow, but I probably should paddle the distance.
Well, congratulations, and we'll definitely see you on the water tomorrow, and happy celebrations tonight.
Thank you.
Right, back to you, boys.
Congratulations, Casper Stein Fath. You are an animal, especially in the sprints. Unbelievable. Well, right now, Arthur Rukin still with the lead, but it looks like Casper Stein Fath, with his sprint win, has moved up into second place overall heading into the distance race. And now that puts Michael Booth into third. Let's see here. Crunching the numbers, yeah. So Booth goes down from second to third. Casper goes from fourth to second with his second sprint win, and Arthur Rukin still with the lead. Let's see here. Arthur has 3,750 points. Casper Stein Fath, who did not do the London distance, is in second place on the world title with 29,500 points. So he's 2,250 points behind. And if he would have done any racing in the London distance, he would be the world leader right now.
Yeah, he's got to be rethinking that, because even in that interview, he was kind of on the fence about doing the race tomorrow. And if I'm him,
game on.
Game on. There's world titles at stake here.
He's flirting with a throwaway. His throwaway is the London distance.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what he decides to do. He mentioned he wants to go back and fall asleep early, and hopefully we'll see him on the starting line tomorrow morning.
Well, during his post on his win on his birthday in the New York sprints, we saw him with that blood orange pale ale that we were celebrating with at the house at Atlantic Beach in Long Beach, Long Island.
Yeah, Casper definitely knows how to have fun when it's time. And it's just rad. Like he said, that's his passion. It's his specialty, and he takes the sprinting seriously. And good for him, man. That was fun. That was fun to watch all day long.
Take a look at the beautiful scenery here in Osaka and the skyline and this beautiful Nakanoshima Park here on the Dojima River. And we're going to show you a recap of the men's sprints all day today. There's Ty Judson and Arthur Rukin that started out the day. And Arthur, all the way from round one into the final and keeping his world ranking going into the distance race tomorrow.
Yeah, Arthur quietly went along doing, taking care of business.
And here's Taguchi. He was the wild card upset man of the event, wasn't he?
He was fun to watch. It's fun to have the local flavor do good. And there's Casper, just textbook sprinting at its finest.
Lincoln Dews going down. Casper coasting in on this race. There's Noik, the hat backwards. Connor also making the final here today. Keeping his three-time world championship alive, going for a fourth. Him and Kai Lenny, the only three-time both world champions of the APP World Tour in the racing
Connor's
side.
Looking good.
Big George. That was Boothie, right?
Yeah, Boothie looked strong in the earlier rounds for sure. Enzo Bennett had a great day as well. Having a couple good come from behind
But remember, Michael Booth placing 9th overall. So disappointing for Michael. But, this is not especially the sprints. He's more of a grind-out distance guy.
Yeah, and he knows it. We were talking about it this morning, and he was just trying to do his best, and he did really good in the opening rounds. As you see Taguchi again, so fast off the line.
And play catch-up here. There's Daniel Sulio.
Yeah, Tuan.
Tuan
went down.
Yeah. Casper with another win. He was undefeated. Connor here with Lincoln. And what an all-out performance by Lincoln Dews, playing catch-up in this heat. And look how close it was between him and Connor at the end. And Danny Ching. This is the final.
But see how casual he was around this booth
Yeah.
right here.
Well, he won the sprint off, and he had clean water to make that turn. And Casper the Viking, the champion for 2019. And how about the women? This was the first heat. Jade Heusen beat Seychelle, but Seychelle was awarded the win due to a technicality.
Yeah, and you saw it just at that start. Jade was questioning the start. So it's interesting. Love to talk to Anthony, see exactly what happened and what was called.
And Lina Agaitis from Canada coming to Osaka and making the final. As we watch Yuka Sato, the crowd favorite around here, having such a great event here at the Osaka Sub Open. And Chloe Walkerdine, a great performance by her.
Yeah, Chloe made the consolation final. She's got to be stoked. Her first event of the year on the APP. So fun to see her do well. And Annie Reichard.
Yeah, second place overall. And how about Jade Heusen?
Yeah, Jade, I just ran out of gas in the final.
Yeah, fourth place overall. She's got to be happy with that.
And then Jordan Mercer, quicker out of the gates in that second round after practicing those sit-down starts.
But, hey, give Jordan a couple of years, SUP racing, a couple of more APP events, doing some local Australian SUP races. She'll be a factor in the future.
Oh, for sure. You can't count out Jordan Mercer. And April Zilg, the story of the day.
She has closed down Seychelle's dominant performance. Seychelle has 3 wins with distance and sprints, and now April has 2 wins, so she's right on her tail.
She's right there, so it's going to be a fun ending to this year with the title race on the line.
Well, ladies, do us for day number 1 at the 2019 Osaka Sub Open. It's been an exciting day. Congratulations to April Zilg from North Carolina for winning the women's Osaka Sprints, and congratulations to Casper Stein Fath also winning the Osaka Sprints for the men. Tomorrow, the 13-kilometer, 8-mile distance race here on the same river, beautiful area of Osaka. So please join us tomorrow for more exciting broadcasts here at the APP World Tour stop number 3 for the racing. For Mashu, our interviewer for Total Sup, for Dave Bainey, my name is Bo Hodge. We bid you aloha for now. We'll see you tomorrow for the distance racing here in Osaka. Aloha.